jungle, Mordekaiser top, and then we rounded out with some ninja somewhere. Okay, perfect. So that's the C9 side of things. No, in all seriousness, while this will definitely shake up the draft from Cloud9's perspective, I think it may actually do it in a rather interesting way, just in that, as we've seen from G2, this is the most flexible the meta has really ever been in terms of finding new synergies and ways for champions to key off of each other and ultimately become effective within the game. And for the way that Cloud9 will stack up against Origen, we've talked about Cloud9 being the closest an NA team has come to that G2 style of play, while Origen traditionally has been one of the slower of the EU teams, at least here at this tournament.
I mean, even though they finished the game relatively quick yesterday, we saw many instances of them hesitating at times, not to overextend, not to overpush. They're a team that typically is more towards the, is this play 70-30 or is it 50-50? Because we don't want to take this gamble. And yesterday, I think we got to see a bit more of that risk-taking, especially in the early game, and their ability to snowball early leads. And I think that is definitely good growth for the team, and it's important considering that when they return to Europe, Origen and Fnatic will be one of the big oppositions that they'll have to make their way through if they want to finish near the top of the LEC standings.
Now, similarly, yesterday, Patrick himself moved to the mid lane. We had Nuke Duck coming down to the bot lane. So again, when looking at champion select, I think it's going to be very intriguing for Cloud9 about how they respond to the possibility of Blabber, you know, both playing into a ranged matchup or into a melee matchup and not really knowing. Granted, they will be on red side for this draft.
Yeah, within the LCS, a lot of the teams say Cloud9 is one of the hardest teams to draft against. So we get to see Reaper and crew try and flex some of their creativity now that they have some different parts to move around. And it looks like he's excited about the prospect.
You know what I would love? I'd love the Gragas coming into the bot lane for Blabber. Niski piloting that Yasuo still from the mid lane. So you still get the Gragas Yasuo that they played in the LCS, just it's coming in different fashion. The question is, what does Zeyzal play alongside of Gragas? I'm not sure.
I just don't want to see more Sona Taric. That's what I don't want to see.
Sona Gragas.
Taric Gragas. Sona Gragas. Basically, I think one of the big issues for C9 yesterday was that they ended up drafting a lot of losing lanes.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, it was against G2. One of the discussions we had, Kobe, is when you think you have winning lanes, G2 do their swip swaps, and then suddenly you don't have winning lanes. But I do think that something that is very important that I think Europe has brought a lot of to this tournament is that they like to play for plates and they like to play for lanes. And counter picks are very high priority for Europe, and they like to leverage strong lanes very early on. So what I want to see more from North American teams and why I was so adamant on it for Team Liquid was that I think this is something that North America need to adapt more, and why I'm actually quite happy to see Cloud9 on the red side now, because they can save that counter pick for Licorice. We can see Svenskeren play towards the top side. Don't forget about Blabber. Just leave him to survive, do what he can, and I think that you just invest more towards the top side of the map, and you try to either shut down Alphari or you try to play around one of the strong sides of the map that I think that you can guarantee.
Yeah, with all of the teams really embracing this flex pick style and getting more creative with even where they send their players, the counter picks become more and more difficult to hold on to, because the later in the draft, everybody then gets a second counter pick that switches everything up in the end. And with red side, you kind of get that final say to try and get your desired matchup.
Well, we're diving right into Champion Select to watch the bans come up for Phase 1. Taliyah, Draven hitting the ban table. Will be interesting again to see how these ban phases evolve with the swap and lineup.
So I do think that the Taliyah ban was in part thrown at Blabber, largely because Taliyah jungle was a thing for a long time, and I've heard that she's
still is, by the way,
back as well, yeah? And so they're afraid of something like the Taliyah Pantheon bot lane. If Blabber could potentially take that one up, so they're going to just deny that off the board. They don't want to have to do with anything crazy coming out from the C9.
Then they leave up the Gragas Pantheon bot.
That's very true, the Gragas Pantheon.
I mean, in all honesty, I would expect a higher likelihood of a kill bottom.
Yes.
Right? Because we've already had successful uses of Yasuo bottom lane and things like that, but whenever you have a substitute player, you look for more comfortable champions. I think the champion comfortability and the style of champion is more important than what lane you're in or whether you're a laner or a jungler.
Finishing out the ban phase, Aurelia, Sejuani for the side of Origen. sitting on the pike in the Draven still for Cloud9 as they work out that third and final ban. It will be TF.
So the Karma is still available if Origin want to grab that one up. Cloud9 could then look to trade it for a Yuumi, depending on what high priority both teams have, but both very strong in the current meta. Origin can't guarantee both, so Cloud9 choosing to remove one of those global pick champions that we know many teams have favored so far in this tournament, and they're going to trade power pick for power pick.
Or not.
Or not.
Or they go with the Tahm Kench. I hear it. I feel it.
They might be threatening the Tahm Kench Sona bot lane themselves.
Yeah.
It's something they have drafted before during the regular season, and we in Europe actually prefer the Tahm over the Taric because they feel that it gives you a lot more kill pressure in the lane.
And it's one of Mithy's, most played champions. He's got such a history on Tahm Kench. It was a really big part, even when he was on TSM in North America. Big changes to the champion, though. I think one of the biggest ones is the shorter range on the level 6 ultimate.
Right.
So you don't get quite as much map mobility early on. Here we finally get the response, though. These are power picks that we're accustomed to with the double shielding, healing.
I was going to suggest this, the mid lane Karma and then the Sona going down to the bot lane. You could still take the Taric in your third pick before phase 1 ends because they're probably not going Taric Kench.
I mean, that's true. Right now, you're kind of looking at a protect the something comp.
Hecarim?
Yeah.
If it doesn't get banned, then it's like, oh no, they'll swap away from the Sona at the last second, take up that J4, likely going to Svenskeren. But who knows? Could also be a part of that kill lane, bot lane.
I mean, Cloud9 do have a lot of flexibility right now. Expectations are that the Jarvan does go into the jungle, but you can move it up to top lane, something that Alphari actually likes to play a lot in the regular season. So they do have that option, unless it is that kill bot lane. Jarvan Leona is one of my favorite go-tos.
And the other thing about Karma, not only did she get big buffs, 4, 9, 12, very powerful all-around champion right now, she's a very simple champion. So that could even be something they give to Blabber.
True.
Karma carry in bottom lane is a very real possibility.
RE, baby. RE team fights, let's go.
Well, they don't have the Warwick. They wouldn't get the wild passive. Come on, Dash. Origin actually going to round out their draft with, or the first half of the draft with the Neeko. So this is, again, another flex pick, something that Europe really loves to flex between mid, top, and bot. You won't expect it to be bot lane because we already see the Sona Tahm Kench, but the ability to not only flex it between mid and top, but also between AD and AP Neeko is a big strength of the champ.
And Patrick, last time we saw him, didn't he have the Neeko? So we'll see if he's going to be the one on the Neeko or the Sona.
Well, the Sivir gets locked in, so assuming that the players will fill the positions they're listed in, Blabber will be piloting that Sivir.
I'll be honest,
marksman.
Sivir, not the hardest marksman to play.
Again, hit R.
Yeah.
Well, come on.
Easier than Karma in team fights.
All right.
Just hit R, not R, then E.
And your W hits everyone.
Your timing on your spell shields does matter.
It does. But
And-
if I can play Sivir, then
I have a
Blabber
lot
can
of
play
confidence
Sivir.
that Blabber,
Yeah.
who we assume is a challenger player, can play Sivir.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
So I think this is a fine champion. So
All right,
far.
but the Yasuo ban comes through, which is what Patrick played yesterday.
Nuke Duck.
Or Nuke Duck played yesterday when Patrick played the Neeko. Sorry, I just keep thinking about the Yasuo being in the bot lane and therefore attributing it to Patrick. But yeah, so the Yasuo hits the ban table, Yuumi as well. Azir as the final ban for Cloud9.
So
We'll see what Origin responds.
Their expectations are that this Neeko is going up towards the top side and they want to try and limit some of the mid lane pool. Note that a lot of options like the Gragas Yasuo is still available, and what Origin lack right now is AD. So by banning away the Yasuo, they potentially force Origin onto something like a Zed or just something a little bit more AD focused, or they force the Neeko onto an AD on-hit build. So I like the ban coming out from Cloud9, and Azir I think is just very strong and safe in the current.
I think Origin are also setting up for a possible carry jungler here. I really like carry junglers when you have this type of setup.
Is Camille to pick into Aatrox top here? Oh, perhaps not.
Now remember that Rise is reworked on this current patch. Why I say reworked? You had some small changes made to some invisibilities. So I'd be surprised if they go for it. I don't know if teams have figured out how strong he is just yet. But Origin, undecided, they will lock in the Camille, so that a little bit more of that carry jungle style that you were talking about. That will also compensate for some of the AD that they're lacking as well. And still, very strong early game jungler that can set up for a lot of ganks. Which lanes he looks to gank is still very debatable. I think he could look bot. I think Tahm Kench is very strong in terms, once he has that setup available to him. Now, just to round out, it's the ultimate debate of where are they putting the Neeko at the top.
That's what I thought. Camille actually going into the top lanes and Zhao possibly in the jungle. I'm liking this as a somewhat of a 1-3-1 composition where the Tahm Kench gets to visit the side lanes as Camille and Nico are splitting a bit.
Definitely could be the case here. We've also had a lot of Camille mid lane too, so don't get set in your lane matchups. At least in North America Challenger, they have a lot of possible Camille mid lane matchups, so they're kind of denying that swap.
So Kennen likely going to Licorice as Nisqy. He really loves playing that Aatrox from the mid lane.
Yep, so it looks like that the Camille is an answer to the Aatrox, but it is in fact going to go into the mid lane. This is something Nukeduck actually played in week 1 of the LEC, but usually they primarily played it with a Sejuani. And they believe that that 2v2 is what makes the pick strong. But something that they also value is that the ultimate combined with Sona actually synergizes very well. And I think that it gives you a very powerful mid-game spike.
And Rek'Sai is extremely good at getting a Camille going early. Camille mid likes to go for short trades.
Yes.
So you always want to utilize the passive shield for Camille. Just get your little bit of burst damage in. But the real threat comes from when your jungler is able to arrive. Flash Rek'Sai, Camille hookshot means that is guaranteed engaged. And with the changes to Aatrox, you don't get a reset with your ultimate unless you get the kill. So it's definitely a viable target to go all in on.
General sense, Vidius, how do these two compositions interact? Where is each team looking for their advantage and who wins early versus late?
Well, I think Sona Tahm Kench is surprisingly strong, but against the Sivir bot lane and Karma as well, you're going to lose priority. So I think Cloud9 have the advantage there. Up towards top side, Nico versus Kennen, depending on which build you choose to do, I think can also vary the matchup.
Okay.
But I think it's possible for Origen to get the advantage there. I think the biggest variability will be in this mid 2 versus 2. How aggressively will Origen look to play through this lane versus what will Cloud9 try to do in terms of answer?
With that, the teams have loaded onto the Rift, so we're going to toss it out to the casters for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. We are here to witness Origen versus Cloud9 here in day 2 of Rift Rivals 2019. And we've got a role swap. Nisqy with the Sivir is going to be playing bot lane as Blabber fills in and takes over mid.
Yeah, we thought Blabber was playing AD carry, subbing in as a traditional jungler. Instead, it will be mid lane on the Aatrox up against the Camille. So getting counter-picked in that matchup, although he is running the Ignite, so a little bit extra trading power for these 2v2 mids, which I think is going to be super important. Because when Origen play this Camille mid, it's not about beating you in lane or going for the 1v1 usually. It's all about controlling the river and having the superior 2 versus 2.
Well, we're going to hear a word from Cloud9's coach himself. Riv, take it away.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Reaper. Reaper, victory on the horizon. How's the team feeling? You looked all smiles on the stage.
It's been fun to drafting with the Blabber. And, you know, if we don't know what we are doing, how they know we are doing, you know? That was a strat, yeah.
Absolutely. And what was the strategy to actually have Nisqy on Sivir? Did Blabber not have enough time on the ADs, or was he just preferring that bot lane?
No, not really. We just drafting whatever looking good. And who wanna play Sivir here? Maybe me. that was that happens.
All right, Reaper. Good luck in the matchup, and we're gonna throw it back to you guys to see how it goes.
Yeah, I will say, I think it's actually pretty reasonable putting Nisqy on Sivir. I feel like the playstyle is something that he can kind of get to, and Blabber's on a champion he normally plays in the jungle in Aatrox.
Yeah, C9 are basically G2. Who wants to play this champion? You go whatever role you want.
Yeah. This one more out of necessity than opportunity, but it is what it is, and who knows? Maybe we'll see Cloud9 with a winning bot lane for the first time in several years, and it might look good for them.
Oh no, Freeze. How are you going to do him like that? He can't even defend himself.
I actually super love Sneaky too. I think he's an amazing player, but I had to make the joke.
Oh.
All right, well, it's trading in the bottom lane. Yeah, Sona Tahm Kench versus Sivir Karma. I do expect Sivir Karma to be winning this overall. You can pretty reliably spell shield Sona Q and get mana back for that. Keep pushing into the turret. Really good damage here. I mean, Patrick is getting clapped early on, but keep in mind, has a mana pool, can get that sustained back up.
Exactly. In lanes like this, it is never about your HP bar, it's strictly about the mana. So while, yes, Nisqy got a lot of good trade down on towards Patrick, Patrick can sustain on through, and Nisqy's going to be relatively low on that mana pool, so we'll have to wait before he can throw out too many more of those boomerangs. Svenskeren hitting that early level 3 and coming bot immediately, actually.
Well, they're not going to get him because they're too close to the turret, but a nice empowered Q is going to get damage on a Patrick, putting him quite low. Nisqy almost stunned up. Mithy pushed away, though, and we can kind of continue to track the farm. Keep in mind, Sivir is essentially CS against Tahm Kench right now, so 18-9 is that scoreline.
Gotta do that mental flip on the scoreboard, like 2 times right there.
Yeah, it'll
Top
flip a bit
Cat
later.
Picking the most. We can see Origin, while they are losing pressure on bottom lane, both top and mid going very well. And because Svenskeren showed himself all the way down bottom in that river, gives room for Cold to steal away these Raptors. He still has the Scuttle Crab and 2 camps on his top side as well. He is quite a little bit far ahead of Svenskeren in this early game.
And Nuke Duck plays himself well, doesn't take any sweet spots in from Blabber, sidesteps the W backwards as well, and that's a decent trade. Farm, though, pretty close to equal, as we do have the players now swapped. You can see the matchups there, as mid lane first round is pretty close. Svenskeren seeing, do I have a gank path just yet? Early TB Patrick does have Frostwing, though. That's the important power spike to get to. Got that item, so now he's safe to lane.
Looks like Nisqy gonna go back and teleport in as well, top of his own mana pool. Now, this mid lane matchup is going to swing basically just depending on the jungle pressure and whose jungler is nearest, because it is very risky, especially for a champion like Camille, to trade forward with her hook shot. It's a relatively long cooldown in the early game.
Good damage there, and I absolutely love Nisqy rushed Executioner's Calling first back. That is the earliest Executioner I have literally ever seen in pro play against double healer. I love it. I think it's going to be very, very effective. It will help the trades a lot. Keep in mind that this is a very poke-heavy lane. I don't think you always do this if you're playing like a Leona Sivir kind of thing where you're like trying to burst her all at once, but you're going to poke her so constantly that you're going to make headway through her W with that. You're going to have the Grievous Wind stick for 3 seconds, which can sometimes affect the Tahm Kench thick skin. If it ticks down in time, you'll get a couple of those ticks halved, so definitely a lot of value there.
Yeah, the Grievous Wounds is going to be most impactful during more extended trades where Sona is trying to smash that W key and waste a lot of her mana for those types of sustained trades up in that matchup. I do also think that while the early game has been relatively quiet so far, this is once again a game that is going to sort of explode around that level 6 mark, both because of the Camille's ability to hit level 6 and then look for roam plays around the map, as well as 2 very aggressive junglers. These champions will be looking to get a little bit scrappy come 5 minutes into the game.
Absolutely. The early jungle lead, though, has gone to Rek'Sai. As you mentioned earlier on, Svenskeren showed in bot lane, and we had seen the Raptors taken, if not more. So it is a good early start for Cold. Top lane within 3 CS, mid lane within 2, bot lane, as we mentioned, of course, a small lead. Expected, being that you are against Sona overall, it means the game is slightly in Origin's favor early on.
And looking forward, projecting 10, 15, 20 minutes into this game, look at these team comps. I think that on the side of C9, they have a really strong team fight, both the ability to initiate with the movement speed of this Karma and the Sivir, but also just reliable primary initiation with the Jarvan. You layer a Kennen up on top of that as well. It is very straightforward how C9 want to execute in these 5 versus 5s. Whereas for Origin, they don't have that primary initiation tool. Yes, Camille can go in, but she's going to be a little bit more squishy. The Neeko too will have to find a very good ultimate. It's much harder to execute Origin's 5v5 when they are in an even number team fight.
And we are having Cold reconnect to the game a little bit. It was him who paused, and he will be rejoining soon enough, and we'll hopefully get everything sorted out quickly, but that is what's going on right now. As we get that all fixed up, shouldn't be too big of an issue, and he's in his own jungle, so nothing seemed to have really stopped him regardless. Yeah, the engage is going to be a little bit difficult. I think watching for Alphari engage will be pretty big. Certainly, we tend to see AP Neeko more than anything else. Similar for AP Kennen, it is Glacial Augment Neeko, which is going to be kind of exciting. So you're going to see like the Spooky Ghosts and GLP build, and that will help find ways in.
Yeah, if anything, that's how they look to start a fight, is we don't have to fully commit with any spells or our bodies, Camille throwing herself into the fray. Instead, they can use the Spooky Ghost to get things going.
Yeah, that'll be useful here. So Nisqy in his first, I believe, professional game in bot lane. I don't believe he'd ever role swapped in before. Is doing pretty well on this Sivir, waiting to see what eventually comes through. He is out of potions right now because of how early his TP was, so sustain can become an issue depending on how that plays out.
I do also think it's really funny that in Patrick's 2 first international games,
he
has played against mid laners both games. First it was Bjergsen yesterday where he role swapped, now it's Nisqy coming down to him. It's kind of sad too because Patrick is really starting to step up on the LEC stage. We were waiting, we want to see him compete against some of the best AD carries North America has to offer. Now it's like, okay, you get to play against the mid laners. That's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to need a couple of minutes. We are going to restart Cold's computer, and that'll take a little bit of time, but it'll be back up and warmed up before too long. And I do want to talk about kind of Origin right now. For those who don't watch LEC a ton, of course, they were the second place team in Spring Split. They famously lasted longer against G2 than TL did, so, you know, that's already a pretty...
By 4 whole minutes.
Yeah, but a pretty strong start overall there. And even though they are 3-3 right now, early on in the Summer Split, 2 of those losses are to Fnatic, who's undefeated, and G2 themselves. So even though the 3-3 record doesn't look terribly impressive, it's against like the actual best teams in Europe.
Right, and even in those 2 games against the 2 best in EU currently, they still held relatively competitive for the early game, and that is something that in the LEC we always judge teams on, is how well can you play the early, even though over the rest of the split, Origen has been one of our slowest teams in the LEC. So we saw a little bit of a new birth for them yesterday in their game against TSM, where they went really fast, really early. With this composition we're seeing right now, maybe it tends to slow down a bit for them, but Origen is always a team that can play many different picks, many different styles, and adapt based on their matchup.
Yeah, definitely a strong team. Going to be looking forward to this squad, and we think they are a hopeful to go to Worlds for Europe as well as our Cloud9. It is interesting where this feels like the first Rift Rivals where all 3 teams in attendance are kind of expected to be the 3 teams to continue to be top dogs through Summer Split. Very frequently you have a mid-year drop-off, and I think so far that's not been the case in any of these 6 teams. We do have lowercase r's in all chat as Cold has reconnected. I don't know why they don't bother to just put in the other 4 letters to say Eddie at the end, but they're ready.
There's no Eddie in this game, though.
Really? That's where you went with that one?
I was trying to like do one of your jokes because I thought you would laugh at it.
You can't.
I made a really bad joke thinking Freak is 100% guaranteed to laugh at that.
That's not true. I laugh at funny things. Funny, stupid jokes, not just stupid jokes. Wow, you can't just say things like that.
I'm an analyst. Of course I can.
You're wrong a lot. Well, I guess that's how that one goes. Either way, some more poke coming across as, wow, the healing is halved because of Grievous Wounds. Grievous Wounds. Execution is calling. I love it. Everyone loves it. And we are back onto the Rift here with a pretty actually meaningful gold lead early on for OG.
Checking out the gold across the board, it does look even currently between the Tahm Kench, looking maybe 300 gold down up against that Sivir. Actually ahead in gold over Blabber's Aatrox in the mid lane. Not necessarily what you want to see, but of course Blabber subbing into that position. Not the best of spots.
And a fairly rich Tahm Kench feels pretty solid as Nukeduck does jump away, and this time around Blabber is feeling quite comfortable here in this mid lane, temporarily down in CS, but that is because he took a recall and walked back in.
You can see as soon as he starts making that aggressive play, Svenskeren was waiting near that middle lane, ready to back him up in that fight. All of C9 actually trying to take some control around this river and limit Nukeduck's ability to move around the map, because the big number to look out for is level 6 for Nukeduck. Once you get that ultimate, it becomes so easy to tag team with the Rek'Sai and look to find picks onto the enemy jungler if he oversteps the river.
And speaking of players, actually, it looks to me like Licorice is going for an attack damage, or at least on hit focused build on the Kennen. Early item was the Negatron, or sorry, No Magic Mantle, and I feel like it's actually likely to be a Wit's End early, just based on the sort of things I'm seeing in his build.
Yeah, I mean, it would really surprise me to see that, considering he's going for the phase rush. He could also just easily opt into the Merc Treads up against the Neeko and reduce some of that crowd control, but we'll keep our eyes on it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's not as common. It is about 80% AP Kennen in games overall, but wait to see what happens. This keep pushing and gets exhausted, though. Could be taking a lot of damage there. The knock over the wall. Cold wants in and grabs first blood. Beautiful stuff right there. Niski forced to run. Not going to find the stun onto him. Finds not even any damage as Devour comes through on towards Patrick. Gets a spell shield out, and now it's Svenskeren's turn. Blabber coming around as well. Not going to land the Q knockup. Looks for the EQ flash to get that one, but isn't enough damage. Svenskeren's going to try. Mithy is low, puts on the Grey Hell, and the damage might just be there. Patrick, one more spell. Knocked up to buy the time. The flash. There goes Blabber. He needs one more. That's a second. He'll revive. Not going to find the knock up there, but that might just be the revive. Force out of Blabber. He will walk away cleanly as C9 answer 2 kills.
Beautiful counter gank there by Cloud9. The double jungle gank in the bottom lane. OG tried to TP in.
A little early on the Q there. Mithy is on front. Not going to find any knockups just yet, though. They're going to try, though. He's going to be pulled right back in. Mithy, I've seen that TP before back on TSM. And he might just drop yet again. Big damage, though. He might pick it up. Svenskeren will go down. And Mithy, will he walk away? Oh. He actually does. You got to be kidding. The flash Q not going to land either. And would you believe it? What a teleport from Mithy. Misty.
Now here comes Nuke Duck. He's ready for the fight. Level 6, he goes on Niski.
Flash finds a stun. Q's gonna kill Niski, and now the chase down. They're gonna try for a little bit more. Cold on a killing spree. What a setup. Mithy had it all along. Big brain plays.
I thought Mithy had lost his mind with that teleport. He comes on in, but he survives for so long using gray health, dodging away from the boomerangs on towards Niski, and it's OG that end up coming up on top in a fight that never should have gone their way.
That was insane. It was a 2-for-1 to start C9's favor, then 3 in a row for Origin in the back half.
How do we even break this down? Because it starts off really nice play there from Cold, coming in from the Fog 4. They get that initial kill, but look how low Patrick is. C9 were making the move down. Blabber had started the rotation very early on, so even though Mithy is able to keep Patrick alive for a little while, C9 have the HP advantage. And once Blabber assists in getting this first kill on towards Mithy, he has the ultimate to go ahead and charge for it, to dive under the tower, knock down Patrick, and get that reset on the health.
But then I think what you really see on the second half of this one is the big brain play from Mithy as he sets up for the fight for the LEC as, okay, it's never seen him to walk around, and we don't get the back half. Instead, we get the point of view play.
All right, he jukes one Aatrox Q, then gets sucked back. No, he dodges everything. He flashes away from the Jolt back. He, of course, gets the Devour on towards the Jarvan as well. And look how he escapes here, too. Auto attack after auto attack hit him. Dodges last second, almost walking into the boomerang blade, and Nuke Duck's back.
Beautiful stuff right there, and now we're back onto the Rift, though, as a fight towards Mithy trying to safeguard this Sona, but certainly not. Patrick will fall. Svenskeren grabs the first kill, and now Mithy, flashless, has to try to run away. Slowed down, knockup is there, and that's a kill in for Niski's Sivir.
Svenskeren just repeat ganks down in that bottom lane, knowing all the summoner spells are down. Now, Blabber, he knows Cold is here.
Holds for some move speed, finds a little bit of damage, will not die for this one, but goes back in to get knocked up. He's gonna get taken so much damage, and they have the follow through Cold on a rampage.
Don't know about that one from Blabber. He saw Cold the entire time, still got out, then turned around one more time. So big mistake coming out of him, but the rest of C9 get plenty of gold off of this tower bot side.
It still puts it about a 2,000 gold difference that the extra farm and kills are doing well for Origin. The second turret plate in the top side about to fall.
The top lane difference looking absolutely massive too, both in CS as well as those plates. It's going to be about a 600 gold advantage for Alphari. They're not going to dive because Cold does not have his ultimate to reset that turret aggro, but big wins on the top side of the map for Origin without any kills.
Unfortunate, another pause right there. We'll see what that is from in a little bit, but this has been an already very interesting, very exciting game so far. Actually worth pointing out that Mithy is actually completely tied with Niski in farm, 66 apiece, so that is an incredibly good start on that Tahm Kench. He's very, very tanky, and as you saw from his plays earlier, is setting up for his team quite nicely.
Yeah, very nicely done by him. If we look for gold leads across individual players too, jungle is the biggest disparity. Cold, the Halo Blades Rek'Sai has so much early game pressure. He's sitting at 4-0-1 at the moment with a 1,000 gold lead over Svenskeren. That means he has the completed Warrior Enchant, while Sven is still sitting on just the Balmy Cinder. So that is a very large itemization gap between these two players, which means that if there's ever a 2v2 or a 3v3 where both junglers are involved, it's almost always going to go in favor of OG.
And it looks like Cold on your screen. It might be from him once again. We have crested the mark for Sona for Patrick to get his items online. Just got his 500th gold out of his Frostfang, so that's going to start turning into him taking all the farm. Mithy's going to stop doing so quite so much, and that'll move on forward as we wait to see what comes out of this one. But looking about it, you are, I think, right about Licorice going AP. For some reason, Phase Rush, I was like, Phase Rush, that's a great auto-attack keystone, like forgetting that you go like fleet footwork or lethal tempo, press the attack, any of those things like much more frequently. So I was like, okay, that's bad brain for me. But yeah, it's Merc turns into an Amp Tome. He'll probably go Gunblade for the lane pressure to be able to lifesteal and stay full health, but that is going to be an AP Kennen probably for the late game team fights. AP Neeko, of course, as we expect.
Yeah, I'd almost like to see Kennen pivot into going for the Proto Belt because you're losing lanes so badly. I'm like, get out of the side lane. I don't care if you're trying to stain up. No. You're going to lose that anyways. I just want more mobility within these team fights because that is going to be C9's way to win this game. It is going to be grouping up and just trying to train you down with the movement speed and all-in they have.
Yeah, that's going to be the attempt right there. And hey, Sivir Karma is a ton of movement speed. Of course, on the other side, you've got pretty good mobility out of Sona here as well. And Tahm Kench people around. I actually kind of expect a fairly mobile game. You've got lots of, I feel like, long-range crowd control that can come over walls as well. So I do think we have a very volatile mid-game in store for us as time goes on. Also with the Mountain Drake done and picked up earlier on for Cold, they've actually got some good split push pressure. If you have to keep leaving Afari by himself in the top lane on Nico, he's already winning lane. He's already up 22 CS. That's going to get worse and worse, and the turret's going to drop in front of him.
Yeah, I think if Origin were to, have this gold lead shrink a little bit on them, 1-3-1 is what they would want to split up into, because you consider 2-item Camille going to be smashing that Aatrox in the side lane. Nico should continue to have this advantage over the Kennen, assuming he goes for that teamfight itemization. So you can continue to get pressure across the map and play super safely with a Sonatom Kench.
Yeah, it's going to look really, really good for them. And we're basically going to wait for the Sivir items to come online. But for now, we're going to take a quick break while we work out our issues on stage. But meet us back here for the conclusion of Origin versus Cloud9. See you soon.
When I was younger, I wanted to live my life exactly like yours.
You're really milking this thing for all it's worth.
We're the world's greatest superheroes. They snap their fingers and we jump. Why?
Because they sign our checks.
Who's up for that?
Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2019, powered by Alienware. As you know, we are currently waiting for things to get all set up on stage for the return of Origin versus Cloud9, working through some issues with Cold's computer as we speak. That said, gives us an interesting opportunity to talk about the game midway through. And we have just witnessed a very interesting interaction between both teams in the bot lane. Want to kind of work through this one bit by bit to see how each team is approaching the fights overall. It's a long one, but we're going to roll it out. Vedius, help me walk through it.
So one of the cool things about this play is how the play is set up, right? Because note how Cold actually comes through the enemy's half of the jungle and is able to set up this sneaky flank up towards bot. The problem is that they have no priority in mid. So while the gank itself is fine, if they choose to overstay, both the Aatrox and the Jarvan are going to collapse down onto the trio. So what Origin is looking to do is get a kill and then disengage. So the small mistake that Origin make here is that they choose to overcommit onto Nisqy when they should be looking to back off. Because they choose to go for this kill, they realize, okay, we've stayed in too deep. But one of the advantages that they have is Nisqy stuck clearing the minion wave. So they think, hey, maybe we can actually fight this 2 versus 3. But then they realize that it's a Sona, plus it's a Tahm Kench, only level 5, versus a level 6 Aatrox, and a Nisqy who's now joined the fight. So if we now pause it, we can see that C9 are in a great situation because they've just gotten themselves a return kill, they've got themselves 2 kills, and now it's their turn they need to disengage because Nukeduck has now regained priority in mid and could look to roam down bot, and the Tahm Kench has teleport and is ready to rejoin the fight. So at this point, C9 needs to be like, all right, we're disengaging. Blabber, sure, he wants to get the reset, get all his health back up. This is fine. But they need to now get out of dodge. They need to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. And then they see the TP come in and like, wait a minute, our Karma's about to arrive. We have 4 people. Surely we can fight this. But they don't have the mana. A lot of members still at level 6. And we get to see some beautiful sidesteps coming out from Mithy. And again, look at the minimap. You can see that the Camille is now making her way down. So what should have been an easy 4 versus 2, because C9 did not read the situation properly, recognized they didn't have the mana or tools to get those kills, they're now the ones overstaying, and they now allow Origin to get these kills. And it was a bit of a comedy of errors of both teams, thinking they can overstay, thinking they can get these kills, and ends up backfiring for both of them.
Only speaks to the way that this tournament has unfolded, though, where it's about the second-to-second reactions for each team and how they navigate those elongated skirmishes.
Yeah, I'm excited to get back into the game. I heard they are ready.
That's what I was hearing too, so if I get the go-ahead, yes, as we load back onto the Rift, we're tossing it over to Freak for the call.
Thank you very much. Ender still joining me as well. Can't forget him. He's probably the most important part of this duo, as Rift Herald is being taken by Origin. Will not be a tower dive, but simply in a neutral objective picked up as we sit still on this 2,000 gold lead.
Probably. I'd say definitely. Personally.
Yeah, you're right. It's all you.
You know it. You know it.
I do. That's why
I was actually looking at, during this this pause, I was looking at OG, and they had actually brought Mithy up towards that top lane. They didn't end up going for the dive, which I thought maybe was going to happen, but now after helping secure the Herald, he has reset, is going down bottom lane, along with 4 members of Cloud9. OG actually making a play mid lane themselves.
Yeah, pushing up towards the top side to look for the Aatrox, who they thought might have been on the roam down as well. He might have been in fog, I didn't quite see, but regardless, it is going to be bot lane outer turret falling. The substantial pressure down there does get first turret gold over, plus all the plays to C9.
Yeah, and OG bring the Herald down mid lane too, so they lose first tower, but they should get a big chunk on mid lane. Unlikely they can actually finish this off because the rest of C9 is en route, but OG may be setting a trap themselves.
Not going to land the Praise Seeker just yet, but they are still sitting around on both sides. There's a stun for Nukeduck, looking for lots of damage as they're going to pick C9 apart. 2 kills. It's going to be a third before long. Svenskeren, no way out. A double for Nukeduck. Beautiful.
Beautiful setup there from Nukeduck, waiting on the flank there while Blabber was forced up towards the top half of the map. C9 were stuck in a 3v4 situation, getting collapsed on from both sides. There was just no way out.
Looking at the stun towards Mithy, though, almost gets devoured, but Blabber able to walk away in time after landing that 3rd Q. Takes some poke from Patrick, but out they go. Herald was killed, claimed some plates.
Yes, this is really interesting here from Cloud9. They're stuck on this side of the jungle. If we actually look at the map, we try to get a little bit closer here, we see there's a big play going on in, and then we uncover that the real root of this replay is just the simple truth that EU is greater than NA.
There it is. Yep, that's science. That's a colorcaster right there.
Yep, solved. That's really all we have to break down in the rest of this game. EU greater than NA.
I have no response to that.
Yeah. at least 2-on-1 game earlier.
We did. The show match.
The show match.
And now the turret's under fire once again as Patrick is back in a mid lane, laning against Zeyzal. And getting damage onto this turret, earning some extra gold as that goes around. But now a play in for C9. They found the root. Do they have the rest of the squad in range, though? Nisqy, no ult to commit. They're not going to get anything on Mithy. Out he goes.
Both flashes up on the bottom lane from Origen. And Cold sitting inside the Cloud9 jungle. He's so fed right now. He could one-shot Sven.
No, he couldn't.
I mean,
maybe
he could.
Solo kill him, but he wouldn't one-shot.
He could, okay. One shot may be a little extreme.
Cinderhulk Ninja Tabi, reasonably durable.
But true damage coming in from Cold's right side. The Hail of Blades, the ultimate execute damage. Ooh,
Those
he
beautiful
hurts.
as well. Cold,
but he's squishy.
Into the river. He's fine. He's got a Ruby Crystal, and no big deal out there. Gets a ward down on C9's side, and they know some of their own side of the map is now Blabber. Having a hard time against Alphari. Okay, ult comes in, but I don't know if he's going to be able to win the siege at all. Just pushed right back out, pops the ulti, gets the move speed, runs away. Mid lane now being cleared out by C9.
Yeah, it's a preview of the future of the side lanes for Cloud9. Both Aatrox and Kennen going to be struggling significantly in their respective sides. If anything, right now, Licorice is feeling a little bit better about himself because there's no Tiamat coming through from Nukeduck, so a little bit less wave control. But even then, still, we're seeing the push going in Origen's favor and doing very well on turret damage as we get close to the 14-minute mark.
Importantly, Essence Reaver money is now available for Nisqy, so whenever he backs, he can pick the item up. Indeed, there it is. Cool, we made it. He TP'd back to lane, no problems there. Turret plates fall in the various side lanes, and we still have this 4,000 gold difference. But Blabber, jungler that he is, roaming to the top side, hoping to help Licorice.
This could be trouble. Licorice setting the bait at the moment, using his E aggressively, trying to force the all-in here. And Blabber's actually walking all the way around, so Nukeduck all the way... Where is he? He's inside the bushes, but he hasn't shown.
Well, they're going to find some turret damage for now, and Svenskern coming out as well, and he's going to reveal himself on top of this one, so I think it'd be foolish to try to defend. Nuke shows himself. He walked out of the brush. They know he's there. He's going to go for the stun right now. Here's a lot of damage flashing away. Nice pushback. That W was crucial. Blabber pulls him right back out with the Infernal Chains, and that prevents Alphari's ult flash TP from doing anything.
Yeah, really nicely done there on the bind there from Blabber. Now 5 members top lane with C9. They should be able to knock down this turret. Without a wave in mid lane, Origen are going to be slow to respond to the push.
El Dragon will be taken down, so double Mountain Drake for Origen will help them with future turret sieging, but C9 do grab outer top lane. They get a bit of gold back to them, but it was all 5 committed to the top lane right there, so no mid, no bot control. Now an engage towards mid. He does have flash for when he needs it. He's going to devour, do some decent damage, spits him right back out. Not quite the stun for Nukeduck, who's now low himself, has to flash away. Mithy now puts the shield up, but in comes Licorice, and the shutdown comes in for Blabber. Mithy gotta be next up. One more skill shot, and they can't quite land it. Just taking enough as he walks away.
Cloud9 grouping as 5, using their comp as they need to, finding the engage there, getting the kill on towards Nukeduck. Now they want the tower. They have the ward, they're gonna get out.
Find a lot of damage. The flash Q's not gonna land, but they're still gonna get the assist of the Blabber. No, not in time! He's gonna go down before the revive, and that is a fumbled engage. Root not gonna land a stun towards Alphari. Big crescendo on it too. Nisqy goes down. Sven's re-engage won't be enough damage. Cold comes back across, then devoured to safety. Origen out. Team fighting Cloud9.
Once again, it's Cloud9 that get the first kill, but then overstay. OG outplay under the tower and continue forward for 3 kills. Big move out of them to maintain gold lead.
Huge pickups there. The gold lead now up to 5,000. It is growing over time, despite the fact that Origen don't have turrets themselves. Their kills and farm are so much better.
And now, you know, everything's starting to stack up. The Sona continuing to scale, getting close to that Seraph's Embrace. You see it one more time. Blabber going in on towards Mithy. I do not know about that play. And then the rest of the team is just stuck here. Patrick will end up using the ultimate onto 2 crucial members, both Nisqy and Licorice. Leads to very easy follow-up from the rest of OG.
He just slowly walked up and crescendoed them. They didn't react to it at all. He's not in time, and down went those 2 members. Back at the side lane, Nukeduck now playing on this side, does have Triforce done and building slowly towards the next piece of the inventory. Could be Asterix, I guess, early on. I don't think Titanic. Maybe Titanic, but I don't think so.
It would be a late one, certainly coming out from him. Is the
non-Tiamat early Titanic Hydra, probably not the build.
Still though, Origen in a comfortable position here, working on getting Alphari's itemization to come through with the GLP for the engage. Now Blabber caught.
Another 1v1, not finding any sweet spots there. The ult actually immunes the Infernal Chains to the back side, so plenty of damage there. Cold now unstoppable, 5, 0, and 7.
Cloud9 need to step up the vision game right now. Origin's way to continue snowballing this game is to play through their side lanes. Because of how strong Rek'Sai is at the moment, he can roam around, try to pick off individual members. You also have the global pressure of the Tahm Kench. They have to be hyper aware of where Origin are on the map at all times. Otherwise, they're going to keep getting picked and they're going to keep falling further and further behind.
Looks like a temporary lull right here as the teams reset, push their waves and recall. And Ender, I got a question for you.
I've got an answer.
That's good. If I said Cold making an enemy out of Cloud9, would you understand that pun?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So Cold used to play in the North American LCS as Trashy.
Yep, I remember
on the
Trashy
team
Enemy.
Enemy Esports.
Yep.
And Enemy weren't very good.
No.
So making an enemy out of Cloud9 is saying you're dumpstering them. They don't look very good by comparison.
Yeah, that's
it's
what I would call a stretch.
You should stretch every day. The doctors recommend that. Ouch. That's why I do this. Licorice in the battle. Doubles coming across. Svenskr trying to find some damage, but getting stunned instead. And Cold is dominating, making an enemy out of Cloud9.
And you did it anyways, Freak. Why not? Origin, they're going to get the kill and the red buff and full control over the jungle here. Why are you like this?
I don't know.
Just why?
I just am. 7,000 gold lead. Origin are clapping C9 with their new roster. Niski in the bot lane not doing too amazing right now. Another dive into the top side. Licorice, goodbye. Alfari, nice stopwatch, buys the space, gets away from the turret, and that's going to be another dead structure. It's going to be 3-2 in turrets here. Origin clapping this game.
C9 tried their best to DDoS Cold, but he's about to go legendary in this game.
Oh. That's why Jensen's not on the team anymore, I guess. He would have done it properly. Okay, that's probably not a good reference. That's maybe a bit too harsh. Either way, we're back onto this one as Niski's gonna get ulted. Whoa!
See you later.
Patrick makes the big play.
Niski just disappeared. Svenskrd's trying to find a fight. He's like, wait a second, where'd my AD carry go?
He's at home sick, really.
That was a joke.
Okay, got it. That was subtle for me. Well, I guess I explained the joke, so it wasn't too subtle, but I didn't realize you were that clever. That's what it is, actually. It's me low-key dissing you, but I think you didn't make the joke on purpose.
How are you trying to turn this around on me?
I don't know.
You're joking.
I'm just
terrible.
I'm just like this. As the wave gets cleared away in Origin, they're going to knock down this turret without any issue at all. As the items keep stacking up. Seris and Lich Bane already done on Patrick. He is freaking massive right now. 9,000 gold on inventory, second richest member in the game. Didn't even start the game by CSing at all.
That's just gross.
Yeah.
OG also getting their third Mountain Drake, so they can just walk over to the Baron whenever they want. They're not going to take any damage because they have a Sona on their team. They're also just going to instantly disintegrate it.
Some Honey Fruit picked up as triple Mountain Drake comes in. Yeah, disintegrate is probably a good word for it there. As Svenskr gets to kill a Gromp. Slowly.
Woo! They're coming back.
86 gold.
That's rich.
Like 1% of the deficit in this game. So, do that 100 more times and they'll catch up. Cold might be rooted, but channeling right over the wall. Nice tunnel. Out he goes. Now on the top side, Licorice got to be careful. Does have flash, does have an ult, puts some damage across. Can't find any damage though. They instead dunk towards Patrick. Stopwatch buys 2.5 seconds. Niski spell shields some damage. Big stun coming in for Alfari, and there are no kills to be had. Patrick stays alive. Svenskr flashing away, but is there even an escape for him as Cold follows through? Can't get the damage to Patrick. Double kill now for the Nico, and it's just Licorice left alive. The first one engaged upon, just running for his life, but he's slowed down by the GLP.
He cannot run. Mithy flashes forward to apply the taste of blood.
Take the kill.
Yeah. He got
Woo!
That's a Baron.
Man. Origin, they're going to get Baron here. They got the ace. 11,000 gold lead. I think they got it. I think they're going to win this game, Ender.
Now, how do they throw this like G2?
How do they throw this? Well, you play Gauntlet style. You just take one person at a time, and you 1v5.
All right, I like it. Do a little prize fight like in the Nexus Blitz.
Yep.
Even then, we see this fight. Licorice, the initial target. It's 5v4 for C9 at the start, but they dive so far onto Patrick, who has his Zhonya, that, well, look, Niski gets soloed out by Cold. All the damage had to flash away there, with Licorice leading the fight as well. So the tag team of junglers wanted to go deep. They wanted to find the pick on towards the squishy carry, but they had no follow-up.
Yeah, they don't really have backline damage. Keep in mind, it is full tank Jarvan, so he's not getting all that much done early game, and Sivir largely zoned away as well, so quick pick up there. Mithy grabs the chomp. Yeah, secures it. Nicely done.
And now OG with a 13,000 gold lead. Full control over the map. Interestingly enough, they split up 1-2-2 at the moment, with Cold being off towards that top side of the map. Mithy and Nukeduck teaming up here because they have the global pressure of that Tahm Kench. Actually, no, that's a Neeko. Neeko looks like Alfari's the one in the mid lane. Disguised as Tahm Kench.
Yep, and then reveals the disguise and presses GLP, slowing down the squad. Sivir pops ulti.
Cold just split pushing on Rek'Sai. He thinks he's playing in 2014.
Sorry,
with the global ult.
Yeah, but now it's a dive into the bot side. Licorice taking a lot of damage there. Gets a stun across, but still stuck in the hexagon. Nukeduck solo kills him under the turret.
Mithy shows up at the end too. Now Cold in a 1v3 flashes out of the Cataclysm while the rest of his team keeps pushing.
Now split push overall going to be successful then on the Origin side as they grab that kill, and losing a flash hurts a little bit, but I'll take that overall. As now mid's under fire. Bot lane's going to drop now as well, and they're pushing into the base rapidly here as all 6 outer turrets are now gone into the middle inhibitor turret now. 5v4, still 12 seconds on the respawn for the Kennen. There's a nice knockup coming across. There's the Sivir ulti this time around. Stun's going to find only Svenskeren. Scope plate on, though, makes him very, very tanky. Do they have the damage, though? Nukeduck will not go down. Instead,
he just hops in for the 1v3 while the rest of the team gets the kill. C9 tried to make the play before they lost their base, but now this should be 2 inhibitors for Origin.
Niski is slowed, has to get away from everything, just barely survives. Spell shield a little bit late, but doesn't really matter all the same. Gonna go back to the fountain and heal up anyway. Middle inhibitor going to drop. Good wave clear out of the Origin side as Nukeduck runs into the bot lane as well and opens up the bottom inhibitor now.
Sven spawns in 10 seconds, but there is 0 ultimates ready and available for Cloud9. They have to try to wave clear their best, otherwise it ends here.
Well, they put players where they could, but it's not going to be enough here for Cloud9. The gold deficit simply too large, 16,000 Origin. Making quick work of C9, improving the record for Europe here in Rift Rivals. They chase down for a couple more kills, a little bit more KDA, a couple more turrets, a little bit more gold, triple Mountain Drake, and all across the board with the Sona on Patrick. Still can't find a conventional bot lane in a lane against, but still doing very well all the same as the dive comes in. Cristiano over the top, the flash, the unstoppable assassination as Sona is in combat, killing absolutely everyone. That's Origin chasing up to the fountain. Run for the hills, Cloud9. You are not going to stay here. A 25-minute victory for Origin.
I like this fast Origin Freak. They're playing so well. Cold in particular in this game, absolutely stepping up, finishing 9-0-9 on the Rek'Sai. His biggest competition was the lag he was experiencing on stage.
End of the game still with slightly less money than Patrick himself, but otherwise rich on the Rek'Sai. Cleaver, Guardian, Angel both completed. 1,500 gold in inventory at the end of it as well. Origin remaining undefeated here at Rift Rivals. They will knock down Cloud9, sadly without their full roster today. But at this point, that is win number 5. That actually guarantees that LEC wins the group stage of Rift Rivals, which means they get counter pick of first team on Saturday's Gauntlet Best of 5.
So now what does EU do for the rest of the day?
Win even more games to make a statement.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
G2 is going to come back with some fire under their belly. I think we're going to see some Tahm Kench, Sona bans. They don't want to play against that garbage. Origin seemed very happy to play it themselves, though, and Patrick looked mighty fine while doing it.
Really, absolutely did. Origin definitely a strong team overall. Cloud9, I believe that's their last game of the week, because I think they played 2 yesterday already.
They did.
So we will see Cloud9 tomorrow, hopefully with Sneaky recovered. We can all hope for that one. And we'll see them in the Gauntlet, a staggered best of 5 where each team plays at least once. And now, Origin won. So for more on that victory, let's send it over to Riv, who's standing by with their mid laner.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Nukeduck after quite an explosive game to take down Cloud9. We were just kind of chatting as you guys went into Champion Select. You were thinking, wait, they have their jungler going to be AD, but he's not even AD. How did you guys kind of correct that situation?
Yeah, we expected, some like crazy fighting lane bot, but then they just picked Severe, and Niski played the Severe. It was like, it was very weird, but when we were very comfortable when we saw that was the situation.
And of the 3 teams, we've heard that Origin was one of the kind of slower to get their victories in Europe. What do you kind of think has allowed you to step up the pace here, or are you just kind of playing more free?
I think we don't play that slow in Europe. It's kind of like a little bit more of a narrative, but at the same time, I think we're a little bit better than Cloud9 and TSM like today and yesterday, so we can just close quicker.
Awesome. How do you kind of rate Blabber's first time in that mid lane on the Aatrox? It seemed like he had you in the beginning, or were you just kind of reeling him in?
No, he played pretty well. Like, he had the roam bot. Like, he's a bit stronger than me in early game, and he abused it well with the dive bot or the roam bot. But after that, it was hard. But yeah, he did pretty good.
All right, Nukeduck, final question. You guys have had so many great victories here on the Rift Rivals stage. What has Origin and yourself been doing kind of in the off time here in Los Angeles?
Just like go to restaurants or like go to the beach, play volleyball and stuff like that. I like it a lot here.
Awesome, very good. Well, congratulations and best of luck moving forward for the LEC. We're going to throw it to the State Farm analyst desk to break that victory down.
Thank you, Riv. Origin with a victory over Cloud9. Good to hear they made it to the beach as well, though, while they're out here to enjoy some of the SoCal sunshine. Interesting for us because we got to cover Champion Select ourselves as it was happening. We even had that kind of respite in the middle of the game to break down one of the crazy happenings in the bot lane. So really where we returned to was just a few minutes preceding kind of the game deciding or game closing replay, which coincidentally happened 15 minutes into the game. A 3-for-1 for Origin here, displaying just utter dominance over Cloud9 in this game.
So one of the things about this play, though, is that they actually have a numbers advantage because they've just been able to kill Camille, and this was a decision that they didn't need to make. They didn't need to try and force the dive. They didn't need to try and get this kill because while this play looks promising initially, the fact that they overcommit allows Origin to turn it around in such dominating fashion.
To me, it's not even an overcommitment. It's a misexecution. And this is Blabber, by the way. When people talk about him being on stage and, coin flipping super aggressive plays, he's definitely the one calling for that. He's the one going in on Aatrox. He's also the one mistiming the flash with the Q so he doesn't actually get Mithy. The whole point there is to get the kill. If he gets the kill on the Mithy, then he can reset with his ultimate, and it's fine. So it's literally a misexecution. Like, they messed up their dive, and it was an aggressive call from Blabber. We've been saying all day how you want North American teams to make more aggressive 50-50 plays.
You're right.
Well, you got it.
You made it?
Yeah.
50-50?
Yeah,
there it is.
Take it back. I saw the conviction in his play. He went for it. I respect it, Blabber.
Missed the flash, Yeah,
while the effort was there for the Cloud9 squad in the wake of Sneaky being subbed out, I think we have to recognize, though, Cold's performance individually for the side of Origin. An absolute monster on that Rek'Sai. Built pretty impressive KDA there, not dying a single time, up to 18, that is, and the highest kill participation on his squad.
And this is a champion that best enables Cold to be very active in the early game. Last split in the playoffs, when he got his hands on this champion, he was extremely dominant and enabled a lot of his laners to start the snowball early. And this is why I fight this battle with Nukeduck, where he's saying that they're the slower team. They definitely are, but when he gets his hands on champions like this, you get to see a very different Origin where Cold gets to dictate a lot of what happens in the early game and definitely increases the number of kills that we see in the game.
As was mentioned by Freak, that amounts to 5 wins now for Europe, which will give them the edge coming out of group stage, regardless of how the remaining games go. So they will have that counter pick when it comes to the relay race. Obviously, if things go to chalk the way that the group stage has gone, Europe is looking to come away with the win in that best of 5. But again, we have to remind ourselves the game of the relay race in and of itself. But I'm very curious now that EU has secured that, how those teams, those coaching staffs will come together and ultimately decide who gets to counter who. And for NA, what the attempted strategy for a win will be.
I think the only thing that I'm pretty sure is going to happen is Origin's going to request TSM again. Because Mithy seems so happy to get that win for TSM. I bet he wants another one.
I would not be surprised there.
I don't know if they'll come in with a strategy. I think Origin feels so the European teams feel so confident they'll play against anyone. I could see G2 wanting to get revenge against Team Liquid after losing.
That's what I was going to say. I assume you think G2 is your best opportunity to beat TL, as well as wanting the win against TL from today.
I also think that Fnatic versus C9 is just a really historic matchup. They might just do it for the fans, where it's like, it's such a
We called all three. Boom.
Yeah,
that's what it's
there
going to
it is. Well, you don't even have to watch the rest of the games today. You know what it'll be for tomorrow in the relay race. I did also think it was kind of interesting, of all things, that with Blabber coming in, they elected to put him on the Aatrox and Nisqy on the Sivir. Granted, I know Blabber has practiced the Aatrox for its time in the jungle, but Nisqy is a guy who's played Aatrox in the mid lane very recently. And so you'd think, like, that delta in change of moving him down to a Sivir feels very strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, I personally side with giving the jungler who got autofilled whatever he wants. Because I've been in that position. I'm like, you know what? Make Blabber comfortable. You want to play Aatrox mid? Play Aatrox mid. There you go.
Thanks for subbing in, buddy.
I do also think that Cloud9 did a lot of good things in the early game.
Yeah?
Like, even though Cold was popping off, the gold disparity, I don't think it was that big. They were staying relatively even in kills. And I think that their bot lane play was actually very good. It's just some of the decisions that they made without the relevant information is ultimately where they got punished. Like the roam from bot to mid. You know that there are 4 people mid lane. You should be aware of where the fog of war is and you should respect the potential. They didn't, so they get flanked on by the Camille and they end up crumbling. And it's like small decisions like this that snowball into to massive leads. And I feel like it's something that Europe as a region has done very well, and just utilizing fog of war a lot and like punishing these small positioning errors that some of the North American teams have made.
They were on wards. What do you mean? Camille was on ward.
Camille was in darkness in that mid play. So they didn't actually see the Camille come around and they didn't know she was in there. So I'm pretty confident that was blind. I want to give T9 the benefit of the doubt and say it was blind.
When Camille roamed down bottom, she went over a wall.
You know it's bad when the EU analysts are reaching for ways to protect North America and their rivals. Thank you, my friend. On the other side of this break, G2 Esports load onto the Rift, opposite TSM. Don't go anywhere.
I'm running to bot. I'm running to bot. No flash this coming to bot, coming to bot. No flash Aatrox, no flash everyone.
Holy shit, no flash everyone.
I'm 6.
Yeah. This is time for Nukeduck, looking for lots of damage as they're going to pick C9 apart. 2 kills. It's going to be a third before long. Svenskeren, no way out. Nisqy goes down. Sven's re-engaged, won't be enough damage. Cold comes back across, then devoured to safety. The ult actually immunes Infernal Chains to the back side, so plenty of damage there. Licorice in the battle. Double ult's coming across. Svenskeren trying to find some damage, but he getting stunned instead, and Cold is dominating, making an enemy out of Cloud9. Still doing very well all the same as the dive comes in. Crescendo over the top. The flash. The unstoppable assassination as Sona is in combat.
A great product can define the present, but it takes the unprecedented to define the future. To go beyond what's next and change the world of gaming. To make history, break ground, and force the universe to take notice.
I don't remember how many years ago I was talking to Reckless at the All-Star tournament, and he said, this guy's going to be the new EU Faker. He's going to be the next Bjergsen. And, you know, it's really cool to see his evolution as a player. And it was obvious that he was really talented from the minute he started playing in EU LCS. So, yeah, it's been cool following his journey, and I'm excited to play against him again.
And I'm excited to watch it happen. Welcome back to Rift Rivals 2019, powered by Alienware for G2 versus TSM. I'm Drake, this is Zale. You know us, so let's jump right into the starting roster.
Why are you assuming that?
I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's frame it that. Maybe you don't. We're Dracos and Zale. Nice to meet you all. Anyway, G2 Esports. Wunder in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle, Caps in the mid lane, bot lane, Perkz, support Mikyx, and their coach Grabs.
And facing them on the red side today, it's going to be TSM. In the top lane, Broken Blade. In the jungle, Grig. Mid laner, Bjergsen. Bot and support will be Zven and Smoothie with Coach Zix.
And Grig coming in. This is something that I'm excited to see because after a disappointing loss to Origin, TSM did opt to continue the jungle watch saga by swapping Grig out, or taking a Katie out, putting Grig in, as I stumble over my words. Talk to me about this one, Zale.
Yeah, I mean, this has been something that has been kind of back and forth throughout the LCS split. Grig, though, you know, he was sitting at 4-0 in the LCS, where Kaden had just picked up his first win this past weekend. We did have a 2-0 weekend for Grig, so people were thinking, okay, TSM has maybe settled on him. Clearly, they haven't thus far. They are still swapping back and forth. But I'm interested to see, will TSM look different? Will they be, you know, more aggressive, more proactive perhaps with Grig? You know, they have utilized some of these hard engaged strategies, playing Hecarim multiple times, you know, with him and looking to kind of be more of a team that is setting the pace of the game rather than sitting back.
And that's something that I always want to see with TSM. You talk about Spring Split and when they were kind of at the best that we've seen them this year, that they were that proactive team. And honestly, when you're going up against G2, I love watching teams fight fire with fire. G2, of course, though, if we look back at their first game, we'll call it maybe a happy game. A little bit.
It was pretty happy.
Maybe. It's always hard to tell with a G2 draft how many of these picks are real. I think we can safely say the Zed bot lane was not the strongest option.
If it was real, I think it's time to go back into the workshop on that one, because it got basically doubled in farm by Sonateric. But there was definitely some happy picks in there. Some of it may have been real. But either way, G2, you know, probably a little too happy in game number 1 against Team Liquid. I don't think we're going to get as crazy of a draft from them here. They probably will want to have it a little bit more serious, try to, you know, grab a win here against TSM.
And already we see the Sona taken off the board. See what other the options are going to be so far. Very stock standard bans, Sejuani taken off the table, Aurelia as well. So the more standard Metaflex picks, limited Karma too. So this does, so far in the first ban phase, appear to be much more stock standard than their first game.
Yeah, and TSM is going to be red side this time, so they will have the ability, you know, before they go for their last pick, to see the entire draft for G2. Doesn't always help you as much as you would expect, simply because they're so flexible with where they can send their picks. You know, this is such a big advantage for G2 because, you know, while in North America we are seeing much more of the solo lane flexing these days, we're still not seeing really any teams flexing their bot laner to mid or bot laner to top and these sorts of things. And that is something that G2 can pull off, which is making it very difficult, I think, for a lot of these North American teams to really get a grasp of what they're trying to do in the draft.
And instantly we're going to see the Pyke first picked here and the Yasuo banned away. Something I like is it does limit some of those select picks where you can see Perkz going top, where it can go into so many different members' hands. And curious what TSM's response is going to be there. Yuumi taken away. Do we see Sven back on something like Ezreal? Or do we see something new like Katarina? That's obviously not going to get picked here because it's a Jarvan.
Yeah, the blind Katarina.
The blind Katarina.
Pretty good to me. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? You're not sure where is this going. Is this top lane? Is this mid lane? Is this going to be, you know, some weird funnel situation we've seen them do before? You know, is this just support, right? There's so many different things that you have to consider, and that is why it's difficult to draft, because now you're not just considering, okay, what's a good bot lane matchup into this? You know, we've seen top lane Pyke used as a counter to Jace. What if you wanted to pick Jace here? Now you're a little bit nervous about that, right? So there's so many things that has to go kind of through the head of TSM and in Zix in particular to be able to really craft what is the best possible draft. And that is why I think we're seeing two pretty kind of generic safe picks right here with the Jarvan as well as the Lux support. Lux obviously can be flexed to mid lane, and Lux in North America is actually seen as a counter to Zoe, so this feels like a little bit of a throwing down of the gauntlet here, seeing the Zoe pick into the Lux, because that Lux could go to Bjergsen and we could see him playing that matchup. He's the first guy to actually bring that out in North America last split, I believe, in playoffs.
Yeah, and watching that come to fruition, seeing how good that pick can be in that specific matchup, does have me wondering. Caps has never won to turn down a challenge, but does get me honestly a little nervous.
Maybe it's not Zoe mid. Maybe it's going bot. Who knows?
Where else can they put it? We're going to find out. And I think this, you talk about it, this is the difficulty of drafting against G2 esports. All the teams in the LEC have to deal with it. Teams in the LCS now do too. And I think these standard picks you're talking about, now we have the Sivir Lux most likely, I think, going into the bottom lane when you pair those two together. But definitely, I think we only see TSM start to commit to anything really solidly in those last two picks.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, that is why you basically just have to try to draft something that is an all-around solid composition that you're comfortable playing, right? Because you're never going to know exactly what G2 wants to do until, you know, they are on the Rift and they're showing you. So I do think that going with relatively well-rounded picks such as this is pretty powerful. The Lux could be going mid lane to answer the Zoe if they do so elect to do that. But Lux plus Sivir, very strong standard bottom lane, you know, used in the LCS a lot these days. Sivir has raised so much in priority with some of the kind of crit changes. You know, seeing a lot of the Essence Reaver rush on Sivir, really strong team fighter, pairs well also with the J4 who is looking for that engage and, you know, opens up for the ability to grab things, you know, like an Aatrox or more of those melee style champions, which are also really going to benefit from the Sivir ult.
Just in general, an incredibly powerful champion, now securing a safer bot lane by banning away the Draven, limiting some of the picks that can potentially bully it out, fight through some of that wave clear. Akali as well taken off the board, a pick that we really didn't see for the longest time in the LEC. The first 2 weeks it just did not exist. Obviously it's been a big staple of the LCS since your season started, and now additionally the Twisted Fate taken away, something that has only recently been popping up for us in Europe.
Yeah, but certainly I think it is one of the most popular mid laners these days. Again, TSM clearly not sure that Zoe is going mid lane, so banning away the TF. We haven't been seeing TF played in other lanes in competitive, really. So they are just, you know, kind of doing that as an insurance policy. ADTF as well as APTF, which has been played a fair bit by Crown in the LCS, as we're getting, I think, a bit of a style hover here, making fun of the earlier Zed bot from G2. But Nico, I think would make some sense. Again, this is a pick that can go to, you know, both top or bot. You now have Lux that could be going support or mid. So TSM is answering with some of their own flex picks here as well. And also, you know, none of these are really kind of like super situational. There's a lot of different kind of ways that you can play it out to make it kind of fit depending on the matchup.
I like the perks is hovering, the signature Sven, Ezreal, the Skarner as well. I feel like there's a lot of subtle communication going on here in the hovers from both sides. Bard now locked in. All right, short of something truly insane, I'm pretty sure we can commit that to the support position.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume that this is going to be Bard support. You know, that means you're thinking that the Pyke is likely going to be in the solo lanes, the Olaf in the jungle. Bard plus Ezreal looking to be considered here, but this could also just be, you know, kind of some fun hovering, so we'll have to wait until they do lock it in. So Bard, Lucian bot lane, very aggressive bot lane. You're looking at probably Pyke top, Zoe mid, Olaf in the jungle is what we are going to assume here. This is a team that can really roam around the map and get very aggressive with that. We already know Pyke has most of its success outside of lane, you know, through that roaming, through that aggressive play. Bard is someone who can, you know, join up very easily and kind of facilitate that sort of aggressive strategy.
Okay. The Camille now locked in.
So the Camille is used as a counterpick to Pyke top in NA, has been used as that. One of the most powerful things about Pyke's solo lane is you're actually absorbing all this poke, you're having all this trade, and then you run away and you heal back up. The Camille doesn't allow you to do that. You just get hit by the ultimatum and you are stuck in that ultimate. You cannot escape, you cannot heal back up, and they are going to try to burst you down. We'll see if Wunder will take Aftershock, you know, to try to alleviate some of that pressure to help him survive through that ultimatum, but that is certainly going to be the strategy here for TSM. You know, lock down these members, utilize AoE ultimates in the team fight, and try to burst down these players. Because if Pyke goes in, you have the Cataclysm, you have the ultimatum, the Nico ultimate overlapping over top of that. There's so much damage coming through, and a last-minute swap.
Now we have a problem. We heard it. I didn't want to believe it. Grabs was talking to us about it. Said the fifth and final member of G2 will play Pyke today. I did not believe it until the 20-second swap, so now we have a change-up. Now we have a Zoe Bard bottom lane. I think the composition fundamentally remains the same. However, the laning phase is now vastly different.
And we'll have to see, you know, what lanes are they actually even being played in? So it is Pyke, actually Pyke jungle. I wasn't sure if he was just going to play Pyke solo lane and have Jankos solo laning. So he is actually Pyke jungle.
Okay.
We have Ignite on Caps. So Caps, I don't think you're playing double Ignite bot lane. So Caps is very likely actually playing the Lucian mid with the Ignite. And the lane assignments should be Perkz and Mickey playing the Bard Zoe bot lane. Caps on the Lucian mid. Jankos is playing Predator Pyke jungle. So I can speak a little bit about Pyke jungle. This is something that was actually Pretty popular among some of the NA pros last year for a brief moment, mostly just in solo queue, never actually came to the stage, but people kind of talked about it as essentially, it was explained to me as this. You take both the buffs and then you gank and pray it works. And if it works, you can snowball. Because Pyke's farming is not very good until you get a Tiamat, and you really do kind of need that if you want to try to go into any sort of normal game.
You thought Camille jungle was extreme. No, Pyke is the next level of that. You literally cannot jungle.
Level 1 portal.
Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen,
I like it.
You thought we're playing League of Legends, we're playing Mission Impossible.
This could actually work. Greg is going over to the red buff. They have both the entrances warding. Greg is going to face check this.
He sees it all. Oh, he gets out!
All right, I respect the effort here from G2. That is a level 1 portal from Bard to hard commit to the invade. And that almost got them a first blood, but now it is going to be Mickey starting with essentially no skill in lane, in that bot lane. So, you know, Sven and Smoothie should have an easier time as a result.
And normally Bard level 1 is probably his most oppressive level in the game between the empowered Meep auto attack, the instant electrocute proc when you do have the cosmic binding as well. So bit unfortunate, but yeah, I don't think they really expected to be hard winning the bot lane with the, I'm gonna say, complete and utter lack of wave clear that those two champions have.
I mean, who's to say? It's G2, it's G2 after all, right?
But now they're getting the lane faster. It's big brain. Nope. Okay.
All right, so we do have a Jarvan. He has red buff. He's actually heading towards the top lane. So looking for this level 2 gank. This is not warded out at all. So Wunder definitely could be in trouble here. We'll see, did Broken Blade start hook shot? He may have. They are kind of just waiting right now. They want Wunder to walk up, and now they're going to go.
Wunder flashing the EQ. Well played just to make it out. But good first gank by Greg, already taking the summoner away.
Yeah, not too bad at all. You can also see Broken Blade is actually going Grasp here. So he wants to be able to have a little bit more of that defensive setup, and big trade onto Mickey X. You know, Wunder playing this Olaf in the early game. We actually, funny enough, got to see it in the show match yesterday from Dyrus. But Olaf does have an incredibly strong 1v1. You know, his scaling isn't as strong, but if he does get ahead, he can continue to just kind of run you down and certainly win out in those long extended fights. So Broken Blade is just going to be looking for quick stuns and in and out, proc the grasp, get out of there. You don't want to fight him long term.
Absolutely do not. But the Yanko's now hovering around the top side. A repeat
Grig's
gank
back
from
too.
Grig.
Oh, this could actually be really good for G2. I think, you know, if they go in not expecting Jankos to be here, Wunder's level 3. He's going to be really strong here.
Hook shot.
What?
Well,
hate to see that.
All right, well, that happened. Definitely diffused a little bit of the tension. Jankos, as noted before, has only cleared 2 camps, but Greg's spending so much time on the top side that it's actually evened out.
I mean, it's a strategy. I told you. You get your buff and you go gank and you pray it works. This is Pyke jungle in a nutshell here. But they are going to be looking to try to pull off this dive. He's looking for the Q. Will he flash? No.
All right, so far he's done a lot of praying and 2
Not
camps.
A lot of ganking.
Not a lot of ganking.
No.
Scared him. You look at Broken Blade, shaking in his boots after that casual walk by hook attempt, but we'll see how things are going on the rest of the map. Mid lane slightly in favor of Bjergsen, has a lot more initial wave clear here in the early game, and Yanko's doing what he can to take Scuttles. That is the nice thing, at least. Scuttle's not going to hit you back, so Pyke won't hurt too much. And, this bot lane is just going to be tough in the early levels.
Pyke can definitely do, you know, some of these camps, you know, the kind of solo target camps are easier to take. The AoE camps you're going to take so much damage doing, and the clear speed is very, very low until you can get that Tiamat. So we'll see how he navigates that. Predator, certainly not the most common of the rune choices for the Pyke, but it will give him like a more powerful entrance into the fights. You can use your W alongside Predator to try to pull off lane ganks and things along those lines. Can be pretty strong, and here again you'll see Broken Blade looking for the initial grass proc trade, utilizing his passive physical damage shield, and then backing off because the extended trades are going to get worse and worse against Olaf, and you can see Jankos is back up to the top lane. Here he comes again.
Forward, Broken Blade has to be careful, gets a little bit of healing down, is going to be forced to flash out. The hook does connect. Broken Blade now in trouble. Where's the hook shot wall dive? Has it already been used? Broken Blade now running for his life. Conqueror procced, but not healthy enough to force the dive there.
Yeah, but that is teleport down for Broken Blade, so the repeat gank from Jankos, you know, certainly going to help Wunder out a lot, and if you can put Wunder enough ahead, that is going to get rough, because this could even be a turret plate going down for Wunder. I think he may actually just decide to take the time to reset instead, but now is going to go back and elect to try to get a turret plate. On the bottom side, though, TSM is pushing in, certainly has a pretty nice advantage, and Grig sees Mickey X here.
Gonna go flash forward. The binding does manage to connect with the barriers there. Smoothie now running for his life. The shield rather, and now first blood flash down the stolen summoner. That's gonna be a sleepy Sivir. Is locked up for a brief moment. Good damage, and G2 just outplay.
In the 2v3, Mickey X is flashing in, and now Jankos has arrived.
Way in, Predator Pike. Could it be more fitting summoner? I think not. Gonna get him. Sven now walking it out, but it's not enough in the end. Level 4 comes through for Jankos, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and a flash out to safety from Grig.
Yep, Jankos hasn't done a lot of farming, but he has done a lot of ganking, and thus far working out for G2 here as they completely outplay TSM in that 2v3, utilizing the stolen flash for Perkz to be able to go in, get the kill, and then get out alive.
And when you see Grig coming in like that, when we take a look back at this one, this looked like death for Mickey.
Yeah, I love that Mickey, though, is flashing in to go aggressive. He's not trying to run away here. He's saying, all right, we'll just kill him 2v3. Gets the binding, puts down the Ignite on Smoothie, then takes the portal out. Perkz going in to finish that off, grabbing the flash to retreat, and then Jankos has arrived. Predator popped in that deep water dive, going very quickly. No spell shield available for Sven, no flash available for him. It's an easy chase down to get that additional kill.
So obnoxious. Pike with the freedom to roam through the river. Incredibly difficult to deal with. And now that he's gotten that kill, he's at least starting to snowball a little bit. Will not really ever, unless he gets a Tiamat here early, be fantastic at clearing the camps, but obviously only gets to be a bigger and bigger threat in the individual matchups.
Yeah, and it doesn't really need to be power farming if his lanes are doing well and if he can enable them. Certainly Grig, isn't that much ahead as far as the farm goes. Grig has been spending time trying to gank too. He went for a level 2 gank. He has not been power farming. It's not like this is a Sejuani who's now up 2 levels and and farming up. So it's not that big of a deal. And on the bottom side, Sven,
you can't spell shield everything. There's just too many spells coming at him.
Yeah, that is really threatening. You can see the damage ramping up, but they have found Jankos.
Shot. Broken Blade goes over. Does not see him. Just the edge of vision there, but Jankos will manage to make it out to safety. Good use of the top lane pressure to get a gank there in the jungle.
Oh, Sven could be going down here.
Where's the spell shield going to go? What's he going to be able to block? Nothing is the answer. Mickey grabbing the kill. Perkz going in for a little bit more.
Yeah, they had the farm advantage, but off the back of that first blood now, G2's bottom lane really starting to take over, ramping up the pressure onto Sven here, and you can see Sven very, very low. They actually hit the Drowsy onto Smoothie, and they just decide to go in for Sven. He uses the spell shield to block that Paddle Star, and then just gets straight up run down as Mickey walks in, uses the Meep slow. Really well played here by this G2 bottom lane, and Sven getting abused pretty hard. They're going to lose a turret plate already, losing a lot of farm here as well, so now not even going to be having that CS advantage. Will be very far behind.
Yeah, incredibly difficult now to match anything here. A little bit more wave clear available for the Zoe now that she has the Lost Chapter under her belt. Chilling Smite will come out just on the retreat here, but it's been a long time since we've seen Perkz play the Zoe bot lane. Obviously, his first game in this roster up against Origin when they were playing Zoe, Karthus, Jace kind of poke comp. A different look this time around, but still a good pick overall. Now we see that all in you were talking about. Olaf trying to keep the fight extending. Broken Blade, though, not going to go back in. Grig, however, moving forward, looking for a little bit more, but Jankos on the way in. Smoothie, Aftershock is proc. They don't quite want to commit to the fight quite yet, and Jankos only level 5, so no execute available.
Yeah, not going to be able to take down Smoothie just yet, and should be able to delay that base. He's going to wait it out, but Jankos is basing on a ward, so that will be stopped. Smoothie, though, does survive and holds on to his heal, which is pretty important, as Mickey did blow the Ignite there. So the next all-in certainly will be more difficult, but Jankos just going to take this time to now go into potentially a little bit of deep warding there, as he did know Jarvan was on that top side, did show to try to potentially defend Broken Blade if Wunder were to go aggressive.
And a bit more safety now, and Jankos with the Tiamat completed as well, so can at least start to clear out some of those multi-target camps. Obviously still going to take a lot of damage in the process, but much more comfortable than he would have been in those first few levels. That kill really starting to pay dividends here, has enough income to pick up that item.
Yeah, exactly. And he spent most of the early game just power kind of ganking and pressuring the lanes nonstop. Now that he has the Tiamat, he can go back to farming, right? You can clear some of these camps out. You can see he's going to be able to deal with Wraiths, Wolves, Krugs all a lot more easily. And then just try to continue, rinse, repeat, looking for those ganks. Certainly not something you want to sit back on. You want to be playing it aggressive. You want to be in the face of your opponent. And now that he has level 6, there's certainly a much higher potential of going to one of these lanes and showing up and just being able to delete someone, because the initial burst from someone like a Bard and a Zoe can get one of these players down to execute range, and then you're just gone. if Pyke can come in.
So much damage. Now the Spell Shield is immediately forced out. The ulti's there, but the stun is going to connect.
Oh!
Whoa, couldn't even see him coming. Portal jumps in, lands that. Battlestar just too.
That was so sick, but Grig has arrived. I don't know if you want this one. Grig could be in trouble now, has no flash.
I would have thought the Bard would not win this, but is so incredibly confident. Sleepy though, Perkz needs to be careful, needs to make it out. The challenging smite has been laid down. Cannot portal through, but doesn't even need it. Will now be able to make it out as the Cataclysm drops, but G2 just continue to outmaneuver in these skirmishes, and now Broken Blade is the one in trouble. Unstoppable is the Olaf trying to make it out to safety. Caps not going to take tower aggro quite yet, but Will pulled back, but just instantly taken down. Broken Blade drops.
Yeah, Broken Blade playing that about as well as he could, but it's TSM getting 2v3'd on the bottom side. Sven is going to die again.
Battlestar, the flash out to safety. This is merciless from G2.
Yeah, they're getting blasted, and Perkz is sitting on 2,300 gold. He has not faced in so long. He's going to come back with a full Ludens, plus even more. They'll get another plate before they leave.
Mickey going to take the portal out to safety, but things are starting to go from bad to worse. Obviously, massive gold lead. Stolen flash there. Perkz, of course, has his own still up and available. I see trouble, but will not connect, and really have to be a little bit nervous for the TSM bot lane. Things have already been going bad, but the Ludens isn't even here yet. And things are only going to get harder as more items are picked up.
Yeah, it's definitely looking pretty rough for TSM thus far. Kind of the lone bright spot. You know, Bjergsen's laning has been going fine. He has not gone down, but you know, the bot lane certainly has been so problematic for TSM. Multiple times now they've been 2v3'd by, you know, Perkz and Mickey, who are just playing this out so incredibly well. The synergy between these two guys is honestly astounding, and their target selection has been so good. You know, forcing Spell Shield from Sven, then the Flash Binding on a Smoothie, with the Battlestar already coming through. Like, they are really communicating and working so incredibly well together. And they're showing TSM how it's done thus far, but Broken Blade, Grig pairing up on this top side, and Camille certainly does scale well. So there is the possibility of a Broken Blade being able to run a side lane later on in the game if he can, you know, really scale up, get to that Triforce. It's going to be tough for G2 to try to contest him in a 1v1 in the side lane later in the game.
Absolutely will be the case for now, though. I like this. TSM swapping to the top side, knowing that bot lane is a death trap with Perkz down there, and the Ludens completed instead are going to set their sights on the map objective. Look to grab the Herald. Bjerg is going to be forced to back off. Jankos stepping forward, has a good bit of damage, but don't think he can just straight up solo kill Nico at this stage.
No, definitely not with Bjergsen having ult and flash and everything available there. But he's going to be able to grab that Rift Herald up to the top lane.
Now locked in, the Lux damage coming in. Goes Golden. No, isn't disabled. Mickey lands the bind. No, does not land the Binding. Wonder will now fall. Broken Blade going to step forward. Wonder desperate to find up a kill back, but will not get it. Good play from TSM on the top side, but Mickey is unafraid. Grig's starting to burn. Jankos. Is he going to be able to grab it? Where's the ulti? The Predator is there as well. Pulling back, will not go for anything else. Perkz uncontested on the bot side, will be able to grab this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, a lot more gold into the pockets of Perkz there. He gets that solo first tower gold back up to 1,500 already. You know, really, really extending that individual lead. But TSM make a good proactive play to that top side. Lanes up top, they are certainly struggling in that 2v2. So getting out of the lane, being able to knock down a turret plate on the top side and get Broken Blade a little bit of help up there, I think does make a lot of sense. So nice seeing TSM be able to make that happen.
And closer now to that Trinity Force that you mentioned earlier, but that is going to connect. Incredibly difficult. They will be able to spot it out. The particles are there.
Stopwatch.
Bjergsen buys a bit of time. Caps is going to push for a little bit more. There's going to be the shield coming in. Jankos comes through. Kill will go over to Caps in the end. The gold not going to be donated.
Yeah, 3-man collapse onto Bjergsen. Played it pretty well in the defensive, but TSM, you're not able to match this movement that G2 is showing across the map. You know, would have been able to survive from Perkz and Caps, but then Jankos is coming in from the other side, so just no way out for Bjergsen there. Is going to get knocked down, and now it is
a lot of damage. Perkz in trouble, but the bot, ooh, the stun made it connect. Now they're trying to turn it. Caps is going in. Both blocked up into the tower. Mickey now fishing for the kill. Grig coming in to try to save the day, but it's not enough. Bard gonna grab it in the end. Perkz does so much damage, taking out half of Grig's health bar. Perkz, I think I'm trying to follow up on that. Perkz is gonna be able to walk away, but maybe a little too confident there in the mid lane.
Yeah, the stolen Zhonya's, but in the meantime, losing the top lane there is TSM. This gold lead now 5K at 14 minutes. Broken Blade will be able to grab some turret gold for himself here on the bottom side, so certainly a positive there for them. But meanwhile, they're losing the mid-outer. All 3 turrets down before 15 minutes here for TSM. So the outer ring has been cracked, and here is this plate one more time, looking for Perkz, but a nice binding for Mickey. He has been so on point with this. Sven intelligently stepping back into the Bard ult. They try to time the redemption as well. Is not going to be there to save him, though. Mickey able to take him down and walk out, and now Mickey fishing over the wall.
Luckily for Sven, Perkz out of mana, will be forced to back off soon. No Corrupting Potion stacks either. But when we talked about this G2 composition, yes, it's not going to be stronger in team fights, but the ability to find these picks so consistently across the map is incredibly strong for them. And with all the tier 1s down, it's only going to get easier.
Yeah, and honestly, with this sort of gold lead, it is going to be stronger in team fights. It's actually just stronger at everything, right? Like, you can be doing whatever you want to do when you're able to create these sorts of leads and these sorts of advantages. And when you're able to play it out so cleanly like G2 is, and Sven likely going to go down again.
Well, being walked down to Binding will connect. The Pike Execute is there. Wonder now stepping forward. They may just try to continue the play. Looking for the Bone Skewer. Grigg can't be too comfortable here. Hook is going to come in, but will not connect, so Grigg will be able to walk away, but G2 just finding yet another pick.
Yep, they get the kill. They'll take the blue buff, grab the Scuttle Crab at the same time. They can even grab the Dragon. They have full run of the map right now. The G2 definitely running over TSM in this one. We'll fall back to that Dragon, grab that away, and meanwhile, as strong as Perkz is looking, he's sitting on a 3,100 plus gold, right? Like, again, he's just not based in so long. He's just going to go back and buy another full item, right? So now he's insanely stronger. You don't even really have the opportunity to try to actually dive onto him. He grabs his Onis initially and then says, no, I want more damage, grabbing the Morelos instead. And he is sitting kind of this far ahead of the pace. You're really at lethal range, kind of one combo any of these players on TSM, right? This isn't even a tank Jarvan. A full combo from Zoe should be 100-0 on any of these guys.
And you have to remember that the Lux is entirely dependent on that Aftershock to not get one shot at this stage of the game. And if you cannot connect that binding, you are just gonna get deleted over and over again.
I mean, even if you do connect the binding, sleep lasts longer than Aftershock. It'll just expire and then you'll die. So G2 looking here on the bottom side for Broken Blade.
Oh, they have walked at the Yankees, but he will just leap right out. Grigg in the midst of the team trying to buy a bit of time. Broken Blade debating if they want to keep this fight going. Golden Rift Herald here as Bjergsen gonna try to find the ball. Mickey is locked up. The laser is there, and TSM find the turn.
TSM striking back, and they have the Rift Herald here, so they can try to push for a second turret here on the bottom side. TSM battling back, trying to get back into this game, get some gold on their side. Perkz is split pushing, meanwhile, on that top lane. Going to be able to try to knock down a turret of his own. You can see Broken Blade heading up there, trying to defend this. But TSM, still trying to look for those plays. We're able to respond very effectively with multiple teleports coming in to help out Broken Blade and get a couple kills back.
And a good look overall. Good play to start to swing things, at least starting to edge back into their favor. Of course, still a big gold deficit, 5K, 18 minutes into the game, but more plays like that, things could shift in favor of TSM.
Certainly, and that's something that G2 always is going to have to be careful about because, while they can play, pretty fast and loose with a really big gold lead, if you do allow TSM to stabilize, if they can get to this point where Sivir has a lot of items and you're having these kind of more organized team fights, certainly TSM will have the compositional advantage. So anytime TSM can even trade gold evenly, they're going to be feeling pretty good about that, as later into the game, the less that a couple thousand gold lead will mean, but G2 certainly still fully in the driver's seat. Baron hasn't even spawned, so we're very early into the game, but they're already looking to kind of set up vision on this side of the map, and as a result, we may be seeing Grigg get picked off.
A lot of initial damage coming in there. Yanko's going to not be able to find the hook over the wall. Bone Skewer. Caps now chasing down. Coling coming in, willing to walk under the tower, just secure it, and Caps now on a killing spree. Oh no, Broken Blade has to run for his life. Tiamat, where's the hook gonna go? Broken Blade cannot sidestep that one. Will hookshot wall dive over the wall. Immediate tunnel to follow. Will not find the binding. However, Cap's trying to chase it down. Broken Blade is gonna realize his own death. Will turn around, but not gonna be able to grab anything. Yankos will not get the additional gold on the ulti.
Yeah, no getting out of that one. Bard's so good at actually chasing down these opposing members, and even with just 1 point in that magical journey, not even going to take a second one, so the CDR doesn't matter, and you can see that damage on his Sven. That's without a sleep landing. Sven just getting almost popped there.
Going in. Oh, Bjergsen also almost getting popped there. This is terrifying.
Back to base with you.
Perkz luckily has burned through almost his entire mana pool, so TSM may get a brief reprieve here, but Caps in the meantime has taken down the tier 2 top lane tower.
Yeah, and I mean, that 5,000-6,000 gold lead now closing in on 8,000. G2 is just extending this so ridiculously fast. They're never really giving TSM a chance to breathe. They're now going to lose their mid-tier 2. Now up over 8,000 gold is the lead before Baron is even spawning. Some of these individual advantages, pretty insane over on the side of G2. You're looking towards that bottom lane, nearly 2,000 gold ahead for both the support and the AD is just ridiculous.
Yeah, insane. And you can see it coming through the Mikhails as well, so it's only going to get harder to lock down an already incredibly slippery Zoe. And the Pyke, yes, he's in the jungle. Yes, he didn't get quite as many resources early on, but now with those kills under his belt, he's working towards that full lethality item. Warrior, of course, incredibly cost-efficient, and he's only getting scarier and scarier. And with all the upfront damage, you have to imagine it's going to be reset city for Pyke if G2 get to play the game the way they want to.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we saw what they are capable of actually doing, and good flash, but a nice ultimate forces that out from Mickey. So, you know, we saw how much poke Perkz is capable of doing. You know, that one poke plus a Pyke ult could just be someone dead.
All eyes on Perkz. They're trying to take him out. He's flashing out to safety. Grig goes over the wall, though. Definitely not what he wanted. Caps now on a rampage. He, of course, no ultimate to turn this one back. Jankos, is he going to try to fish for the hook here?
Yeah, they have the TP actually coming from Olaf. He is going to TP behind. They want this.
Yep, Wonder going to walk to the midst of 4 people. An unstoppable Olaf barreling down on top of Bjergsen. Buys a bit of time with the stopwatch. Will not find the lockup, but a good bit of damage. Perkz going forward. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will not connect. The pullback will not either. Good spell shield by Sven, buying a bit of time, but the stolen flash carrying Perkz forward. The binding not landing either, but it's just a poke nightmare for the side of TSM.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if they can defend their inhibitor tower. You know, we're barely past 20 minutes, and TSM being pushed back to the well. The inhibitor tower will fall here. G2 gets another one, 6 towers to the 2 from TSM. Now 9,000 gold ahead. It just doesn't stop. They never are giving TSM room to breathe, room to set up around the map. And you know, it's because of this non-stop aggressive play that G2 are such a strong team. Broken Blade now going to get found out by Caps, has to run.
Wants to chase down, but a good stun by Broken Blade to turn back. Would have just died immediately, but no, now, cannot quite turn it. Mickey is there with the heal to stop anything from going down.
Yeah, and those 2 completed items from Caps. He had the Ignite available, so feeling very confident to take that. And again, G2 is just doing everything at once. While they're killing the solo laner, they're also taking the dragon. They're also looking to reset. In such a strong position now, G2 certainly have a lot of options on how they want to close out the game. Baron certainly would be one of them with the double mountain. They are in a great position to be able to actually knock that down. They also, though, could just push towards the open inhibitor here from TSM and look to get a, you know, kind of a global advantage from knocking that down before they head over to anything like the Baron. G2 certainly has every option available to them at this point.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, just an incredibly comfortable spot. Have the luxury, have so many more resources, can make multiple plays on the map at the same time successfully without risking a whole lot. TSM, though, get a chance to reset, and you can see how defensive they're playing, backing off, not looking to push in for any vision, and when you see a Sleepy Trouble fly from halfway across the map, you can understand why.
Yeah, and I mean, if we could actually swap back over to the gold, I feel like this illustrates it pretty clearly for you there. When the support Bard has, you know, 500 gold lead on your top laner, things are looking grim, so... You know, Mickey certainly looking strong in this one, has been playing a monstrous game on the Bard. You know, and multiple items already completed at this point in the game. They are looking again.
Predator coming out, big movement speed. Spell shield. Gonna catch anything here in the end. Now the ult being thrown out. Smoothie has been caught.
Here comes Caps.
Follow-up damage going to Bean. We're gonna pursue any further. Do force the flash out from Smoothie, however, now incredibly vulnerable if they want to go in again.
And I think they're just gonna give up the inhibitor. They have a Broken Blade pushing. There's no reason to even try to defend this. You don't really have any chance of doing so. So they're trying to play, you know, more of a scrappy style of game, trying to hope that G2 may overextend in one area or that they can stop bases, but Grig gonna get dunked.
Caught out by the death from below on the back half there. A lot of damage goes down onto Jankos, but will just heal right back up. Meanwhile, inhibitor definitely in jeopardy, but now a double kill in the mid lane. G2 may just try to push here, but it could be a trade.
I mean, if it's a trade, that's great, but if G2 end the game, you don't get to trade for the Nexus afterwards.
Oh, but eyes on the minions. They do manage to kill the creep wave here. Good call by TSM. It's going to be hard for G2 to finish. They now need to back off. Bjergsen, though, stepping forward. A lot of damage is going to come in. A good binding onto Mickey. Now going to be in trouble. Mikhails himself out to safety. Wonder now running first. Huge damage coming in, and just like that, G2 turn the play on its head. And they're going to end the game. Broken Blade now TPing back, desperate to try to save something, but the sheer amount of damage here, if he's the first person to base check in, G2 eyes on the Nexus right here. The Bard gonna stop the Jarvan in his tracks. They'll kill Mickey, but the game goes to G2.
Absolute decimation here from G2, making it look easy against TSM. 24 minutes, 29 seconds, they close it out with an 11,000 plus gold lead.
Wow. Yeah.
I've got to give so much credit, I think, to Mickey. He played this game so insanely well on the Bard. You know, really strong facilitator for Caps down on that bottom side. And G2's bottom lane were such game changers in this one, being able to pull off multiple 2v3s against TSM's bot lane and jungle. And when your team is losing, in those advantageous positions, it's very, very hard to be able to kind of sustain yourself in a game like this, because G2 is going to punish you elsewhere on the map where they are going to have the numbers advantage.
Absolutely. And I just have to echo, I mean, it was a beautiful thing to watch. That's one of those games where you go back and watch the pro view to see how much are they actually talking, how much is this communication, how much is this just something that they've played and practiced before. The Amumu. A nice touch, I think, safe to say, but brutal game for TSM. Bard starts with the portal. Level 1 looks good. Every level after that looks rough. Looks incredibly
We were even
difficult.
at level 1.
Level 1, when he took
was
the
close.
less than ideal ability, things were going okay. Some favorable trades, but and we've all been there. When the Zoe gets fed, you look at across the map, and when no one else on your team is fed, it's pretty over. But let's send it over to Avli, who is standing by for an interview with a top 5 Pyke player from G2.
Not bad.
Top 5. Congratulations on the win, Jankos. I mean, the question going into this game wasn't, are you going to beat TSM? It was, will your Pyke be better than Ocelots? So how do you think you did?
Well, I do believe that my Pyke was pretty better. I mean, much better than Ocelot. And since Ocelot played it yesterday, I think I had to play it at that point. I mean, our owner played it, and everyone from my team plays it. So I guess first time with it.
And I think coming up on our analyst desk, they're going to be ranking the top Pykes on your team. So what do you think the rankings are?
Well, I should be the first one. And then probably Wunder and Miki and Caps and Perks. Yeah.
Great, I like that. Well, thank you again, and congratulations. Analyst desk, do you agree with his rankings?
Thank you very much, Avli. Jankos' Pyke was impressive. Perhaps more impressive was him bringing his own mic to the interview. Kind of pulling that out of nowhere. I love that move. We will discuss some of the G2 Pykes in just a minute. Before we do, I do want to briefly talk about the game itself. This game entirely dictated by the dominance in the bot lane from G2 here. We had the Bard and the Neeko. Just putting it to Sven and Smoothie.
Another creative bot lane comes out from G2, and they make it work. Perks was adamant that he wasn't going to play any AD carries this tournament. So far, he's 3 for 3, and he had a very impressive performance alongside Mickey. The binding setup combined with the utility provided with Perks' E, then followed up with the damage of the 2. It was a surprisingly effective duo.
Perks was literally running circles around the TSM bottom lane. Absolutely, they destroyed them in 2v3 scenarios. And then it's easy for Jankos to come in and clean up the extra ones for them. As you can see, goes down there on Pyke.
Expert Pyke play, making a cameo in the bot lane.
But this was one of those situations where the casters were talking about it. What do you spell shield here? There are just too many abilities that you have to dodge. And sure, you get away from this one, but can you block out from the Bard Q? No, you can't.
No, and with the lead, we know how oppressive Bard can be in the bot lane just through auto attacks alone, laying down some damage with a little bit of AP in the build.
And I really we talked about it a bit earlier in the day, but Mickey has been such an insane support. And this time around, Perks back on another mage, the Zoe, just made it look so incredibly good. The bottom lane blowing up that big meant that this game was fairly easy for G2 to run over.
Yeah, no surprises. With that advantage, they're able to pick up the win, which brings us to the real discussion of the postgame. Best G2 Pyke player. Everyone's touched the champion now, so we actually have some statistics and anecdotal experience to make these claims. Vidius, as you are the representative from the LEC, I'll let you kick us off. Let's talk through the different G2 Pykes.
So, I'm curious as to which one we're starting with, because I don't know what the graphic is going to show. I'm going to assume that Wunder will have the most Pyke games out of anyone, because he's
Wunder does have the most Pyke games on the
top
team.
Lane. So many fans would think that Wunder would be one of the primary candidates. He brought it out not only at MSI, but against some of the top teams in the world, and he did it up against SKT as well. You can see he's currently undefeated on the champion, but the problem with Wunder's Pyke is that he plays very much for himself rather than for the team.
What's the problem with that? If it nets you 100%
the big
victory.
discussion is how much value do you put on that, right?
I put a lot of value on 3-0.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
That's absolutely fine. Because then you've got the other Pyke player, Mickey, who, in my opinion, is the OG Pyke player who brought into the G2 world.
Right.
And I feel that you notice how he's got a higher KDA,
Yes.
contributes more towards his team.
Yes.
And his damage is slightly lower because he's not stealing all the kills.
But
He's
isn't that
having-
Pyke's job?
He's having a higher impact without taking away from the rest of them.
Some weird arguments you're making.
Yeah, really weird arguments.
Weird
You
arguments.
put it to KDA, they're like, he's done stealing all the kills.
I'm so confused by that. Okay, but you did. You had the 3-0, the 1-1. I'll give credit to Mickey Extra maybe bringing the Pyke pick to G2.
But my argument was too weak for Mickey, right?
I'm going to go ahead and say Wonder, in my book, still reigns supreme in that regard. But let's take a look at the next two players, Caps and Perks.
So I actually watch a lot of Cap stream because he is a hilarious streamer, and seeing his solo queue Pyke is insane to me. So whenever people ask this question, my answer was always Caps because how much he plays in solo queue and how great he makes it look. But we saw on stage as well, Jankos has faith in Perks, even though both these players have only played it on stage one time. These two can definitely pilot the champion. If you're talking about KDA's video,
yeah, I know, right? I didn't check the other stats, right? I'm talking about KDA's.
Yeah, with the kill participation in that KDA, Perks would take the cake. Interesting to see the damage percentage differences for each of the Pykes. I guess to me that speaks to the variance of executions, right? Because ultimately Pyke doesn't need to deal high percentages of damage to be effective, right? He just needs to bring you from 20% to 0.
Yeah, I mean, and he can share gold for stealing the kills or getting the kills, whatever you're talking about, Dennis. So that's why the argument to me was seemed ridiculous. His ultimate literally shares kills.
But who could forget the final two Pykes on G2 and the two most recently played? Jankos sporting that 1-0 record. But even in the face of that 0-1 from Ocelot, I think he's got to be a part of the discussion.
So I gotta say, it's not Ocelot's fault that he has 0.86 KDA. He was playing against an expert Sejuani that was hitting him with full range blind Sejuani ultimates over and over. So tough break there.
Well, my favorite stat about Ocelot is the amount of Pyke deaths that he has is greater than the cumulative team deaths that G2 in their entire team have.
Oh no!
So it's a bit of a rough situation for Carlos to be in. But he also, as you said, does not have the same team environment that the likes of Jankos would have. So I have to say that you guys tore me apart on my Mickey argument. He's gone. He's not in the conversation anymore. I've removed him now. I was wrong.
So who gets it?
I am personally going to... I'm bought into... Kobe's argument on Caps.
Okay.
Like, the way I've heard him talk a lot about the Pyke, I think is very impressive. And as a Pyke mid expert myself, I know how challenging it is to play the champion in that role and have those impressive stats in a honestly superior and a much more challenging situation. I think is the most impressive.
I think Vedius just disavowed Nocturne.
I would still say, though, by the way, analyzing the actual Pyke play, Hylissang threw the most prediction cues.
You don't have to talk about Fnatic, Pyke. We all know Hylissang is the best. All these G2 fans are like, no! What are you talking about?
G2 Pyke tier list.
Yeah.
Hylissang? Maybe? All right, anyway, Game 4 is coming up next. We've got Team Liquid versus Origin, so don't touch that browser. Wonder Caps. Wonder Caps. I think that's where the real conversation is. Between the two of them.
Gotta like that prediction cues.
Flash forward, the Binding does manage to connect with the barriers there. Smoothie now running for his life. The shield, rather, and now first blood. Flash down the Stolen Summoner. Where's the Spell Shield going to go? What's he going to be able to block? Nothing is the answer. So much damage. Now Spell Shield is immediately forced out. The ulti's there, but the stun is going to connect. I would have thought the Bard would not win this, but is so incredibly confident. Sleepy, though. Perks needs to be careful. He's making out. The challenge might have to lay it down and not portal through.
Oh, yeah. Also flash.
Yeah, very nice.
Nice. Very good, guys. Very good.
Wonder now running first. Oh, huge damage coming in, and just like that, G2 turn the play on its head.
I'm trapped with my father in our house. Please send help. Hey! P2, hear that?
Crawl, rated R.
Thank you for joining us back here. Game 4 of the day. It's going to pit Team Liquid opposite Origin. And let's immediately turn to the lineup so we can get right into it. We're going to start on the blue side. It is none other than Team Liquid. In the top lane, Impact, jungle, Xmithie, mid lane, Jensen, bot lane, Doublelift, support, CoJJ, and of course, Coach Kane.
And facing them on the red side is going to be Origin. In the top lane, Alfari. In the jungle, Cold. Mid laner, Nukeduck. Bot and support going to be Patrick and Mithy with Coach Gilhoto.
And of course, OG, it's hard to know where they stand. Now, coming into the tournament, we obviously were, it was a little contested on Dive4ia. I'll say exactly how the teams stacked up against each other. So far, we've seen OG beat TSM, and as you mentioned, let's say less than full strength Cloud9. So I feel like this could be one of our closest matchups.
Yeah, definitely the case, right? You know, this has been, it's fair to say, the weakest team during the regular season, you know, coming out of Europe that is at this event, right? They were 3-3 compared to an undefeated Fnatic. And, you know, you have G2 has only lost the one game to Fnatic. So, you know, this is the North American #1 seed going up against the current weakest European team at this event. So, you know, certainly if there was one where North America was favored, it would be this. Team Liquid, I think, also clearly has been the strongest performing North American team at the event thus far. Day one, the loss to Fnatic was certainly a very close game, which, you know, a lot of people kind of felt like they, you know, let get out of their hands. They did win earlier today against G2, albeit in a bit of a fun draft. But we'll see how they're going to do up against here with Origin coming out. As TL certainly looking to put some more wins on the board and, you know, redeem North America in the eyes of the fans a little bit.
Yeah, and of course, if you're feeling a little dejected as a North American fan, it's a tough tournament, I'm not going to lie, but I will remind you that Europe's been here before. All I need to say is Mike Young, and every European fan goes, damn. It's happened. We've all had our moments. Definitely the one man that strikes fear into the hearts of Europeans worldwide. So we've been there, we've had these moments, but maybe you're right, TL can turn it around. Looking fresh in the Captain America jerseys, perhaps this is the game to win. And actually, when I look at both the way these teams play, they're often considered very comparable in terms of how they like to approach the game. So stylistically, I'm really curious to see how both these teams are going to approach, because this has been a tournament where there's been a lot of vastly different approaches in playing the game. Even Origin have been mixing it up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in spring, certainly everyone looked at Origin as kind of the classic macro team. They're going to look for team fights. They're going to play it more slowly, but their day one win was their mid laner playing Yasuo bot, their bot laner swapping mid, and they really ramped up the aggression and played, you know, a fantastic game. Mithy playing Pyke, which is certainly not a signature pick for him. They were really able to play that very well, so I'm excited to see, is Origin going to look to kind of match fire with fire here against Team Liquid, go for more of that standard style, or are they going to continue to try to play this more kind of European style, ramping up the aggression, lots of flex picks, trying to be aggressive, and in the face of Team Liquid?
Well, already some of those flex picks are going to be limited and taken off the board. The Yasuo taken away, the Tahm Kench as well, something shared between both Mithy and CoreJJ, and additionally, the Neeko too. So both those flex picks that we saw earlier against TSM have been taken away.
Yep, both taken off the table, and certainly the LEC teams have been utilizing Yasuo very well at this tournament. You know, able to play it in multiple lanes, is going to be very, very threatening. And we're seeing kind of more of those defensive standard picks being banned away by Origin. Sejuani off the table, Tahm Kench off the table. If this was in an A, I would certainly be expecting Aurelia, Yuumi, champions like that to be taken away. But the LEC teams have certainly not been afraid of Yuumi thus far. Team Liquid's still going to be banning it out. And, you know, Aurelia, certainly very, very high priority, still sitting at 100% presence on 9-12 in NA. Could be something that they would want to target here. But it will be the Master Yi bin.
All right, it's TSM.
It's TSM?
Tahm Kench, Sejuani, Master Yi, it's TSM.
Oh, no.
All right, I swear the rest of the game is going to be serious, folks. It was just the last ban.
Well, the first two bans were very serious.
They just wanted to leave open multiple picks so that they could get something back on red side. The Jarvan will be the first pick picked up by Team Liquid, one of the remaining top-tier junglers, and we'll see what OG want to go for. Of course, Mord still disabled. Don't get your hopes up, but Karma, very, very powerful and very frequently banned thus far in the tournament.
Yeah, Karma, another one that has been extremely high priority, but when you are kind of banning out some of these other picks along the lines of the Yasuo and the Neeko, some of those OPs are going to start to fall through. Karma is something that honestly can be played anywhere across the map, really. Not a jungler, but top, mid, bot, very, very powerful on 9-12. So something that Team Liquid will have to be aware of. We do also see, you know, Aatrox, Aurelia still available if they want to go for, you know, something along the lines of those soul laners. But no guarantee that they want to go that route just yet. A little bit surprised to see the early Lee Sin lock-in, as they didn't have to show jungle just yet. They may be wanting to save this third pick to see if a solo laner will be revealed that they can get a counter pick on in the first round. But otherwise, TL's certainly going to be playing that Jarvan jungle, so you don't have to kind of have your hand forced to show the Lee Sin unless you're trying to hide a solo lane, which is what I'm going to assume Origen is looking to do.
Yeah, but hiding a solo lane when there are so many picks up and available that have been prioritized, things like the Aatrox, but the Sona going to be locked in, we can assume.
Sona Taric.
Taric to immediately follow here, so it worked well for TL obviously earlier in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it did work, and their bot lane was, very successful, but certainly you also have to take into consideration it was against the Yuumi Zed, right? And that is certainly not the highest pressure lane that this is going to have to deal with. We've been seeing a lot of these LEC teams deal with this very, very well by bringing out super aggressive picks in the bottom lane. Kai'Sa looks like it's just going to be an insta-lock there, so Kai'Sa will be going down to that bottom lane. I will assume for now that it is going to be Karma Kai'Sa bot lane. You can certainly shift the Karma over to the mid lane if you want a super powerful kind of buff up the Kai'Sa style of game. But Kai'Sa, not the most lane dominant of marksmen. This is more of a scaling pick. Can still have a strong laning phase, and Karma can be very oppressive. Remember, it is the Taric that has to do the farming in the early levels, so both these ranged characters can be harassing and pushing the Taric off of that farm and really holding down that 2v2 in that way. But this is nothing like the Nico Gragas or these super kind of crazy picks or Draven or anything that we have seen a lot of teams utilizing to try to super punish this lane.
Absolutely, and Origen themselves bringing out Varus Blitzcrank in the past to punish this lane.
Exactly.
So I think a much tamer thus far. I'm actually surprised to see the Kai'Sa prioritized over something that they've used in the past, like the Varus, that is just on its own so lane dominant.
Doesn't mean that we're not going to get a pivot, though. Again, Karma can be flexed. They could try to throw down, really spicy support pick alongside that if they wanted to go that route. And you can still go, the scaling route. It's not that it is impossible to team fight against this. The other option is, hey, great, your 2v2 isn't super dominant. Well, what if there's 4 people there? What if there's 5 people there? Like Taliyah, Lee Sin, 2 champions that certainly could be making their way down to that bottom lane to look to punish Sona Taric pre-6. That is generally the timing that people are trying to make things happen before that Sona Taric do kind of get into that safety bubble with those double ultimates. Taliyah has had some wave clear nerfs, in the past, so it has been falling off a little bit, but still very, very powerful roaming post-6. Even pre-6, the move speed along the walls can help you get out of lane and affect those side lanes very heavily. Jace, we are expecting to go up to Impact. He has, kind of built up a bit of a name for himself on this pick and is looking stronger at it. If we do get the Lux, this would be, very, very difficult to actually burst through. There's so much shielding in this. Definitely expecting this to be Lux mid. The Jace top. So Pantheon Taliyah going to be the bot lane, I believe, or I don't even know. Are they doing that? No, I guess they're just going to do a Pantheon top straight up.
Wait, just trust me, you're not used to this, but then you just wait. Wait for 20 seconds.
Right.
Trust me.
We'll find out.
I think it's Pantheon Taliyah. I think it's the Karma top, and they're going to try to, I guess, super feed Nuke Duck, funnel resources in.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of do a semi-funnel, but we'll see how this works out. Either way, we will find out where they're going to finish swapping things around, but TL certainly running a very defensive comp. If you do allow a team like TL is running to actually end up in a situation where it's 5v5, it's later in the game, you have your items, it becomes almost impossible to get kills. You have the Taric ultimate, you have the AoE healing and shielding coming through from both the Bastion as well as the Sona heal. An AP mid-Lux with the W max becomes absurdly difficult to actually punch through that damage as well. So, Origen will have to execute, I think, on the early game very heavily. Taliyah Pantheon certainly can blast a Sona Taric lane, so they're going to be looking to hard camp that, I think, bring the Lee Sin down, try to punish this lane, try to put it way behind, because if you're not able to do so, Team Liquid should have a massive advantage come 5v5 time.
It's a huge hard commitment from Origen into this early game. Cold going straight for the Lee Sin. You said it yourself, picking it very early in the draft to try to secure it. Really the big question mark for me in this draft is the Kai'Sa mid lane coming in for Nuke Duck. How is this going to function in the comp? It does offer some element of scaling, but when you look at TL and OG going toe-to-toe, I don't know if it's going to be enough.
So I have seen some, in solo queue, some kind of hybrid AP Kai'Sa making its way around in mid lane. Certainly not a super common pick, but I've been seeing the kind of AP version of it a lot more than AD when it is played mid lane, so it's possible that we are getting something along those lines. This also could just be their fallback plan. I mean, if Alphari is building AP for Karma top, and you have a farming AD Kai'Sa mid, if he's able to perform well against the Lux, then hey, you still have a really powerful scaling marksman. That being said, the engage may leave a little bit something to be desired. Origen, though, looking for a 4-man invade on top side. No one going to be there from Liquid to meet them, and they have a devastatingly strong level 1, so that is why I think Liquid has kind of warded that entrance brush and is sitting so far back on the bottom side. Is they really do not want to risk running into these guys. And I think we're even going to see Impact take the long way around the jungle. There's no reason you should risk running into Karma, Lee Sin, Pantheon, and Taliyah, some of the 4 strongest level 1 champions in the game.
And you can see him hugging the side of that wall, painfully aware of the danger that could be lurking for him.
He's even going to wait back at his tier 2 tower, I think, until the lane starts, because they know, how bad a game can go off of a tragic level 1. So certainly taking all the possible precautions.
And now, of course, we're just going to see a standard bot lane leash for the side of TL, starting up from Sona Taric. Once again, eyes on the Taric to CS in the early game, see what OG can do to stop that, to delay the inevitable spell thieves stacking from Sona, or she can start farming. And top lane, I'm actually genuinely excited to see. Impact has been, I won't call him an unsung hero anymore. People think I've been singing his praises plenty after MSI, but has been stepping up in performance, and I think another opportunity for him to go toe-to-toe with EU top laners is always exciting to see.
Yeah, so Smithy, I think, is just assuming that because they didn't see them on the bot side, that it was a top side invade, and it was. He should have been spotted perhaps by this ward. I'm not sure if he actually did flag drag over the Dragon Pit or not, but he's just assuming, I think, that it's going to be vertical jungling, and that's why he's going up to that blue buff. He could look to try to come behind this Origen bottom lane, but this has been warded out, so he's just going to continue farming this away. But Cold is actually not into vertical jungling just yet. He's still just kind of power farming inside of the map. If he does not go down into vertical jungling, this can result in Smithy getting a couple camps in the advantage. And he's actually going to go over and find that his blue buff is gone. So, a nice little start here for Smithy is he's going to have the couple additional camps to retreat back to, and we'll even be able to sweep out this ward, which is going to mean that Origen has to play it a little bit more carefully, not knowing if Smithy will commit the time to kind of sit around and try to gank this shortly after knocking down that ward.
And he was unspotted by the ward. I did have it confirmed by production before that moment, so...
Yeah, I think he flag and dragged over the Dragon Pit to try to avoid any potential ward.
And I think good that he was there around the level 2 point. Of course, that's really where the kill pressure starts to ramp up for the Taliyah Pantheon.
Now that they know he actually did go into that vertical jungle, you're seeing Cold try to go over and counter the blue. It looks like he will be able to do this. He has his lanes pushing in right now, and we'll kind of find out how many camps he's going to be able to match back. Karma is going to be shoving very heavily in the early lane. The Kai'Sa, certainly had been kind of sitting back a little bit now, but it is Smithy, not trying to head up to that top side, so he's happy with just splitting the map. And I think TL in general should be happy playing an even game in the early stages. You don't need to try to fight for something like a free buff. You can just be happy. The longer the game goes without anything crazy happening, the better and better it gets for TL, right? So as long as you can keep eyes on them, you're going to be really, really feeling good about this. And Jensen utilizing that passive very well.
Nukeduck still stepping forward, has to be careful. Lux, of course, notoriously long cooldowns in the early game. Cold now stepping forward, but Smithy is here. Level advantage for Cold as well. Stepping forward, same level, is going to miss the kick. Does get locked up there. Immediate CC has to flash out. Not quite perfectly timed, so Cold is able to escape.
I don't understand why Cold just didn't walk out the top. Like, he could have just walked up towards his red buff and avoided that completely. Instead, he makes a very risky play, trying to actually go towards the Lux through the Jarvan that he sees. Ends up having to blow his flash. So, a key playmaking ability there now down for the Lee Sin, and Doublelift here making his way towards mid lane, perhaps expecting to be able to counter some sort of a play, but CoreJJ going to be a bit exposed here now on the bottom side. As Doublelift just showing up, I think he's helping to try to reset this wave, actually. The wave definitely not in a great position now for them on this bottom side. But
Flash away. Nukeduck is going to be able to make it out to safety, but good use of the flag and drag there to force the flash from Nukeduck, and Nukeduck not going to be able to approach the tower. And crucial here for Doublelift. He's going to be able to grab these free stacks. Cold's on the backside, but 3 members strong. He cannot commit to that. Taliyah, however, on the roam up. Maybe they can find a play here.
Yeah, I mean, if Doublelift can actually force, this Taliyah Pantheon bot lane to split up, I do think it's actually fairly good for them. They have to be careful about this, though.
Back there for Jensen, but there's no follow-up CC. That's all that they've got now.
But I mean, if you look down to the bottom side, if CoreJJ is going to be able to farm, evenly against the Pantheon, you're feeling so good about that. Taric outscales this Pantheon ridiculously hard. The Pantheon Taliyah is really 100% about the setup with the Pantheon stun and the fling for the full 100-0 combo. If you're not actually grouping up, if you're not together, that is certainly very, very good. So Doublelift just showing up mid lane, poking away at that turret a little bit, getting some Spell Thieves gold here, and CoreJJ is sitting bottom lane farming evenly against this, but Doublelift does have to be careful here.
The knockback is there, the follow-up immediately. They're gonna try to find this one pulled over the wall. Good first blood pickup on the side of OG. Doublelift a little too confident stepping forward there.
Yeah, I mean, Doublelift needed to flash that. As soon as you see the seismic shove is gonna land, there's no real excuse. You need to flash. If you get hit by that full combo, you will die. He does elect to just sit on that summoner and is going to go down as a result. They're looking for Patrick now, though.
The knockback comes out once again. Mithy is going to step forward, but CoreJJ is still strong in his own right. No mana, however, left. Will still force them back. The creep wave massive for the side of TL.
Yeah, they really need to push it in and get it reset. That is why they are actually pushing for this so heavily, and that is why Smithy is now down here on the bottom side. They need to get this wave in. It's been kind of meandering around and stuck in this middle position where they've been losing a lot of creeps, actually, to the enemy creeps here, essentially. So will get that reset, but it does cost Doublelift his flash. And remember, not having a flash that first all-in, he is now going to be summonerless for a potential second one. If he does get hit, he will go down. So let's watch this one more time. As soon as you see the seismic shove is on you, you have to flash that. 100%, you need to flash back into the brush. That would have cost him his summoner. Yes, that sucks, but you do keep your life in that sort of a spot. Mithy, though, quick, as soon as he didn't flash it to punish him, flashes in, has a follow-up stun, and they are able to get the burst down and didn't even need to use the Ignite, which is pretty critical. But overall, I would say TL are still pretty happy with how this game has gone. You are down 700-800 gold, but that is honestly very, very okay, given the compositions and given the position you're at with Sona sitting at level 4, CoreJJ is level 5, he's working towards his 6. Once these guys hit their ultimates, they're going to be feeling so much more safe and secure in this 2v2. And CoreJJ is actually almost 6. He's very, very close because he got a lot of solo experience while Doublelift did roam away.
And here comes Smithy. Is he going to find the flag and drag? Waiting in the fog of war, will not commit for it in the end. Controller will now spot him out, stopping plays in motion. Mithy hitting level 6, but Pantheon level 6, while it does get you across the map, not going to be crucial in this 2v2.
No, definitely not, unless they can kind of get Team Liquid to overextend. But TL now has the wave in their favor on that bottom side. The wave is pushing towards them, so now it's up to Origen to overextend and kind of push this out, try to get the wave reset. That's, again, why they are calling their jungler down. And we've seen so much jungle action down around this bottom side, even just to try to protect the members to get this here. But Jensen is around as well.
A lot of damage down on Smithy. Can they take down Patrick? Is he going to just flash right up the wall? Cold now needs to retreat. Mithy potentially in trouble, but both sides just seem set to back off. Binding will not connect. In the end, not a lot going to be burned. Does force the flash out from Patrick.
Yep, so certainly still in TL's favor. Impact needs to back off. He's going to get caught by that tether.
A lot of damage here.
Look at the slow.
You do not want to fight Karma in an extended fight. Another burn, maybe hammer form.
He could be dead here.
Just gonna walk him down. This is the Karma special, the early flash forward to make sure it connects. Alphari grabbing the solo kill on the top side.
Yeah, absolute outplay for Alphari. Impact needs to know better than that. With the 9-12 changes, Karma slows are so big. If you do kind of chase down, you can get run down so easily. And this is the tank Karma. You can see the Glacial bot up there already. He is gonna be working towards likely an Iceborne, I would assume. Probably going to be going Iceborne. Sometimes people go Iceborne into AP. Sometimes it is Iceborne Spirit Visage. But here, this is one more time. In fact, you do not want to jump forward into this. You get the tether on. You continually hit this Qs, and it's very easy to kind of sit outside that melee range.
Oh, here comes Pantheon. Leap right in. The Targon's going to buy a bit more time, though. Doublelift able to make it out so far. Smithy on the way in. Level 6 for the Jarvan. Flag, the drag, the Cataclysm will not come out. OG going to back away.
And that is that critical level 6 for Taric. Didn't even have to blow the exhaust there. Did have some of the solo experience as Doublelift was roaming. Cole's going to stay around in the area, though. And they do have a ward in the brush, so they certainly know Smithy is here. But Smithy's job, definitely just to protect this bottom lane, trying to keep them safe from any potential dives. CoreJJ farming fairly well. Certainly the gold lead will be to the Origen side in this bottom lane, but Sona Taric kind of expected to be losing there. Elsewhere on the map, very even, and it's actually the tier build here for Nukeduck, so did rush the Manamune. You do actually get the tier procs on your Q, so that coming out, I do believe you can get some hits there. There was an interaction there that I had been told about.
So the Death Dance interaction that they nerfed about making it single target was taken away around the Death Dance patch. However, it's still incredibly strong, and with the 10 AD buff given, it now gets you to 100 AD when combined with the Rage Blade as well as, or no, just the Rage Blade rather, should be enough.
Yeah. So still going to be going AD. It is not the AP build that I had been thinking may have come out. Either way, it will be TL heading over to this Dragon. This is an Infernal. They want to fight for this, and all 5 members of TL are moving down here.
Right, a bit more time immediately. The leap forward. Nukeduck on the backside. Big Lux Salt. Only going to hit one. It's not going to matter. 3 quick kills picked up. Nukeduck now running for his life. Can he take down CoreJJ? It's him versus the world. Wants to take down the Tark. The healing is there. The dazzle is there. But Nukeduck will find a kill and flash out in fashion. Not enough, however, as TL take the fight.
Yeah, 3 for 1 there for TL and the Infernal. Very big win for Team Liquid. We're going to be really happy about that one. Here it is one more time as TL and Origen do battle it out. Origen did not have teleport on their top laner. They decided to go for the fight, though, as Jace's not yet here. But in the 4v4, the Cataclysm comes down, the Sona ult, the Taric stun, all layered across, as well as that Lux ultimate. Nukeduck, nice sidestep on that final Dazzle stun to be able to get the 5th hit of that passive and actually execute CoreJJ. Very well done from him there, but it is still in a heavily losing fight. And Team Liquid, getting closer to those items that they need to really start to kind of be feeling quite secure in this game.
And you talk about the compositional differences, and we saw it right there. The sheer amount of, potentially game-changing ultimates on the side of TL versus, a lot of utility on the side of Alphari, Patrick, the ability to roam the map. Mithy, yes, Pantheon ult, you can have those big, glorious moments, but they're very infrequent. And we talked about the pressure on OG to find an early game lead, to snowball this game out of control. It's an okay lead, but it is not enough that they can calm down anytime soon.
No, definitely not. And there are always the opportunities to try to kind of play side lanes and utilize the Pantheon and the Taliyah to try to make collapses and try to play a very scrappy game. Certainly TL would want to be group 5 and utilize their strengths, but now they're going to get a pick.
Locked up and burned down instantly. You can see the Executioners calling, and Mithy's back pocket will not let that get healed through. Smithy, though, there to shadow him. Are going to be able to use the demolish. Maybe look to break a single plate here. Will not commit for the second one. Patrick going down. A little bit more damage. Just ready to lock up Mithy. Has to be careful about the 1v1, though. Pantheon still decently strong at this point in the game.
Yeah, certainly doesn't have too much in the way of damage, but you do still have to respect it. Grab the early Executioners for that healing debuff that he will be able to apply. But as much as Team Liquid will be feeling good about, 5v5, Origen can do what they just did there. They can look around for picks. They have established a lot of vision. You can see in this topside river, they're trying to kind of set up this zone of control as we actually are going into a pause. But all along this area, they have wards to kind of cover their roams up and down this map, and that is going to allow them to essentially be roaming back and forth between mid and top lane very, very quickly, threatening potential dives on impact, threatening potential dives and collapses on that bottom side. And CoreJJ, who is trying to fight for vision in that topside river, does get picked off as a result. So it's this sort of scrappy play that Origen can now kind of fall back to, as their early game was definitely not dominant, with this Taliyah Pantheon, not dominant with the Lee Sin. We'll see if they're going to be able to actually pull through in this mid game, because really I would say their kind of biggest lead right now is up in that top lane. But Tank Karma doesn't really excel in the 5v5. It's more of kind of this abusive 1v1 style of play where you have the Sheen procs, you have the Klepto, you can poke away at turrets pretty well with your auto attacks, and pretty strong in the 1v1, but not devastating in the 5v5 where she doesn't usually have enough burst damage to really change things up.
Or enough AP scaling really to maximize the shielding that you can give to the rest of your team. And of course, scaling not the name of the game for OG. Pauses, however, we do have a brief one on stage. Mithy's peripherals have lost power, so we will be getting that fixed and back into game as quick as we can. In the meantime, though, I think I like the way TL have been playing. It feels like Smithy's been shadowing the lanes very well. Now, there are a few moments where you can see that OG get away with it. Doublelift probably should have flashed on the bottom side, but otherwise, pretty clean, pretty comfortable game for TL. Sitting back, scaling up, and knowing that they are really not under the pressure to be the big playmakers until they have a few more items under their belt.
Yeah, definitely the case. And, the USB hub for Mithy, the cord came a little bit loose. It seemed got jiggled a bit. So it is all fixed up now. We are resuming. We're going to be heading right back into the game. But yeah, TL certainly has not played flawless. Impact getting solo kill on the top side, I think certainly a mistake there. He opted into that fight, jumping forward, then getting punished for it. And, Doublelift getting picked off on that bottom side, certainly I think a mistake there as well. But, Origen has kind of capitalized when TL has made mistakes. But overall, TL I think is going to be pretty happy about the position that they're in. They have incredibly strong late game, incredibly strong scaling. And despite the fact that Origen will want to play this kind of scrappy avoid TL style, when you have Sona Taric Lux, in a post 20 minutes in that later game, one of the things you can always do is just go to Baron and force them to come to you.
Absolutely, but in the meantime, OG will get the flash on the top side from Jensen. The instant ult to stop any more pressure. However, enough damage coming out, as well as the Aegis passive to stop any fallout from the tower. And just in time as turret plating is 30 seconds away from falling. But Impact on the bottom side is going to get a big amount of gold going into his back pocket as he is uncontested breaking plates on the bottom side.
Yeah, exactly. So that ult just to kind of buy time, try to clear out a wave. And he is going to be able to get one more plate, potentially finish off that turret before the 14-minute mark. And this is actually a race for first turret. I'm surprised Origen didn't stay around to actually try to guarantee that. It will actually be, as a result, TL that get the first turret. There were multiple members up there from Origen. They don't even knock down the turret. So I do think a little bit of a mistake there. Not the end of the world, though, as they are working likely on that Rift Herald. I could see Lee Sin over there in the river. Will be probably trying to grab that for his team. So yeah, Rift Herald will fall for Origen. They can certainly use this top lane if they want, just guarantee the turret, or mid lane to try to kind of threaten that. If you could take down that mid lane turret, I think that would be critical for Origen to try to open up the map and expand their kind of areas of power where they can look more and more for some of these kind of picks and taking down that first ring of towers allows them to go for much more aggressive plays with the Pantheon ult, with the Taliyah ultimate. And we haven't even seen the Taliyah ultimate used thus far in 14 minutes of gameplay.
And interesting as well that the Taliyah is opting for just the early double magic pen items, not seeing a Ludens, not seeing a Lost Chapter coming out. So Patrick very clearly focused on having a bit of kill pressure there, not as worried about the wave clear.
Yeah. And I think that makes sense, right? When you're thinking about how this Pantheon Taliyah combo is supposed to actually work, it's about the one shot, right? And that's why he's going Electrocute. That is why he's going double Spell Pen instead of building more mana and things like Airy that you sometimes see or other options. Impact, though, getting collapsed on here.
Locked up, Lee Sin coming through. Sonic Wave is going to connect. Nice sidestep.
Yeah. Jigs?
Yeah. That's what you call synergy, folks.
All right, down to the bottom side as Impact does survive. You can see this next dragon may be a point of contest. We'll find out, does TL actually want to take this fight? Origen right now feel like they're trying to force something, and they are looking for Smithy. TL would like to 5v5, but also scaling is the name of the game for their composition, so they're going to try to land some poke here with the Jace, and now they're going in!
Follow up immediately, Taliyah's just taken out. Team Liquid in total control of that mid lane fight as they find the quick pick.
Yeah, really well done there. The double flash from Doublelift and Smithy going in. And now, poke does not matter at all against this composition. You can see Origen going to have to completely give up this objective. I talked about how easily you can actually work on that Baron because you have so much healing, so much shielding. Now with the Mountain Dragon to their name, that just gets that much easier. So Origen losing out around both of these neutral objectives. And as we see more and more of these items coming through, as the Archangels gets fully stacked up, Sona becomes harder to burst down, and it just gets more and more difficult for these guys.
And we look at the burst options, and yes, you have a Lee Sin. He's looking comfortable with Warrior. Yes, you have the Taliyah Pantheon combo, but Kai'Sa and Tank Karma are not a part of that burst combo, and I actually favor the burst on the side of TL at this stage of the game.
Yeah. I mean, if you can actually hit a stun, with the Pantheon, you still, I think, can one-shot some of the squishies potentially with that Taliyah combo. But I think the name of the game again is going to be scrappy play. It's going to be diving in. One of the things that Kai'Sa does have is the follow-up ultimate. If you Pantheon ult in on the side lane on someone, you hit them with a stun, Plasma is applied, you can ult in to follow up. Because I don't think that they really will be having a great time in organized 5v5 if they are not getting a pick to start the fight. So we'll see if they can kind of play out this very interesting composition that they have drafted for themselves here.
Interesting to see what the options are. For now, it's going to be assigning Patrick into the mid lane. Yusuf going to go on the top side, but Patrick once again the center of attention here. This time the flash available will just be able to make it out. Smithy already spotted on the ward. Herald used on the bottom side. The Karma going to welcome this backup to break the first tier 1 tower. Now Impact potentially in trouble if he doesn't know Cold is coming, but is now spotted out on vision, so Impact knows just to back off. Meanwhile, TL and the rest of the map will use this opportunity to looks like to reset as both the Lux and the J4 will return to base.
Yeah, going to try to head down, and I think TL for the most part are going to be having to really watch their lane assignments very well. You don't want to be caught up too much in just chasing Origen around the map, but also if you ignore their plays on the side lanes too heavily, and they can pull off a dive on Impact, then they can start knocking down turrets. So it really is this delicate balance, and a lot of that is going to play around how well can TL maintain vision, because thus far, it is actually Origen getting a lot more wards, on this bottom side. You can see 4 or 5 wards in that area. TL trying to fight back, trying to extend their vision forward, but it really is Origen with the more aggressive warding on this side of the map.
And right now, it's giving them that setup, that comfort to move in deeper, trying to secure mid lane priority. Obviously difficult as the Sona and Tark continue to scale away. Slowly building towards that Lich Bane. We are at a point of the game where it's pretty much all eyes on Mithy. Lee Sin to maybe get a play kicked off here. Fortunately, still has to be careful about stepping forward. Mithy waiting in the wings. Cold now going to be the center of attention. The CC is there. The crescendo, however, will not connect, and Cold will be able to make it out to safety.
Yeah, the dazzle hit, but the flash comes through from Cold. He is able to get out with his ult and flash. Doublelift not able to connect on his ultimate as a result. And Lee Sin, though, pushed back again, and every time Lee has no flash available, you know, that playmaking opportunity certainly gets reduced very, very heavily. You can see Smithy, it looks like, is just going Cinder Hulk into Black Cleaver, probably full tank out of that. You do want your Jarvan in this type of composition to be able to deal some damage and to kind of be an additional threat of physical damage, but certainly not necessary for him to be, you know, full squishy, full DPS style of play because you're looking for long fights.
7-4, the knock is going to be crucial. Can they kill Doublelift before it comes down? Buying a bit more time. He will go invulnerable. 2.5 seconds. Cold going to fish, but will not find the Sonic Wave. And now it's disaster for OG. Locked in the cage and knocked down in an instant. Impact line forward. How far he's still taking, but it doesn't matter. He threads the needle. He finds the kill. Locked up under the tower. Tank Karma, but not tanky enough. Impact grabs the double.
Yeah, they're going to knock down this turret. They can push for 2 here. TL battling back. Origin cannot get the kill on Doublelift, and look at Doublelift now. Back to full health pretty much here. Healing right back up. They will knock down 2 turrets, get 3 kills to 0, and Team Liquid feeling like they are taking full control.
Absolutely are. We can take a look back now at this replay, see exactly how it unfolded, where OG felt they had the opportunity.
Yep, flashing in. They do hit the combo, but you can see the heals coming out from both the Bastion shield, the Doublelift shield that is coming out on your W, and then flash in from Smithy. Alt hits 2. Jensen there with the follow-up from the Lux, and then the Shock Blast threaded the needle from Impact, gets 1 kill, and they're able to knock down the second. Tank Karma certainly not able to stand up in that fight. And Alphari is going back into AP. You can see Chalice, you can see working towards Leandries. So trying to have more of kind of that supportive style and be more effective in the team fights, but gonna really have a difficult time, I think, unless Nukeduck can free fire in these long fights. And even then, there's just too much shielding and healing from TL unless you get that initial kill.
If your game plan is to team fight the Karma Taric, it is not a good game plan.
Yeah, but I mean, here it is again. You know, a good dragon coming up here for TL. It is the Infernal spawning in 10. TL's actually just running down mid lane here. They have mid lane priority. They're looking for this inhibitor tower. Origin have to make a decision. Do you just give it up and actually try to take the Infernal? It looks like they're sending Nukeduck to solo the dragon. The rest of them are coming home. Now Cold going back to the dragon, so they're just giving up the inhibitor here and trying to trade. They may try to pull off some sort of a trap and punish TL on the way out, but they do at least get an Infernal.
And there's no one there to punish the Hillens clear wall, but there's no follow-up, so congrats on the Infernal, but giving up the inhibitor is brutal at this stage of the game. TL in absolute control. OG trying something, but it is not looking very effective.
Yeah, I mean, Origin just making the decision that, hey, we can't contest anyway, so let's just try to get something else, right? If you say you cannot 5v5, then give it up. Try to get, you know, the kind of best of a bad situation. TL now, Pink inside and outside the pit. They can start this Baron up anytime they want because there's no threat of the Baron getting them low with Taric and Sona. And now they're going to set up this trap here on the side, looking for Origin.
Zeroid leaping in, Xmithie ulting, locking down 3. Now they're all going to be invulnerable. They're just going to walk through this Origin lineup. A shielded up Nukeduck may try to fire back, but Mithy way too squishy, cannot step forward like that. Nukeduck locked up as well. Ooh, the laser doesn't even need to find a target. He's dead before it drops. Alphari, the last man standing. They can chase if they want, but it might not be worth their while. Impact looks for a little bit of revenge here, but ill-advised to 1v1 against Alphari at this stage of the game. He will just walk away eventually.
Just leave the Karma alone. Go take the Baron.
Take the Baron. What are you, Tank Karma? Are they can they kill him? Thank you, Ace. We're through for TL. Finally, the Tank Karma dies.
And they're going to TP over to the Baron pit. This will be theirs. Very likely. Cold is up, but we'll see if he can actually get there in time. Patrick has TP back in as well. We'll see if TL is punished at all for kind of spending that time chasing, but I think the Baron should be gone before Origin can really respond.
Ooh, taken out. The Pantheon ult, he's going to feel real bad about that when he lands right into the meat grinder of the opposing squad. Patrick is forced to flash away. Doublelift incredibly low. But the healing is there. CoreJJ out of mana. OG, they can win the fight if they can find it, but it doesn't look like they're going to get the chance.
Yeah, TL should be able to all get safely back to base. They're going to get a blue buff as a consolation prize, but A very small one at that. All the items coming through here. And here's the replay one more time, utilizing this Jarvan Lux combo so effectively. You can see the acceleration gate in. Smithy flashes forward. The Bastion dazzle, stunning multiple Lux ults coming through. And when Terragall lands, but they're looking for a pick on the side lane. Oh my
No,
God!
he kills him. Cold can even find the kill now. The healing coming through, has to land the Sonic Wave, but Jensen is here. There's so much shielding. Cold realizes he's got more than he can do. The binding lance! Boom, boom! Bye, baby! Rampage for Jensen.
Click, click, boom! Jensen on the Lux. Popping off here. The shields are in full effect, and TL marching it down to USA Champs.
And the LCS studio has woke up. No longer the library for Europe, but definitely a rowdy crowd for North America. TL pushing down on the top side. Like they're ready to end the game. I don't think Origin have much left in the tank.
No, I don't think they do either. TL is looking so ridiculously strong. Cold not even alive. Another inhibitor tower will fall here.
That's a level 10 Talia. That doesn't do anything. They're backing away. Nukeduck incredibly low. Patrick throwing some rocks. Not a lot gonna happen quite yet. Big shock blast though. Impact doing a ton of damage here. And Team Liquid walking the Baron minions in, slowly but surely poking away at the enemy composition. OG need to pull the trigger now or they will just lose the game.
I don't really think they have any trigger to pull at this point. They're playing with the Nerf gun, and TL is looking very, very strong. They're just gonna wait for the supers to come in mid lane, and I think this is gonna do it.
Last dance, Smithy goes in, they just immediately Tarkov. They're gonna be able to manage to grab one, but no, in the end, nobody gonna die. Impact, and the rest of the team still alive. Nukeduck taken down where he stands. Only Afari left up. TL might go for a little bit of BM, and NA certainly, or EU certainly had a chance. NA, though, gonna keep their eye on the prize, not interested in the tank Karma. Or are they? Instead, dance on him, Impact, you earned it! And that's gonna be the win for TL.
A well-played game here from Team Liquid. Playing it safe in the early game, scaling up, and Origin, no answers to be found for them in that late game stage. They were not able to contest Team Liquid.
And honestly, impressive game from TL. Knew exactly what they needed to do in the early game. Did not make, you know, they made one or two missteps, but did not fall far enough behind as Nuclear Pantheon took over the game, and a good look overall.
Yeah, certainly the case. And this is, you know, a risky type of draft for Origin. It's very heavily execution-based. You've got to be able to pull off these all-ins non-stop. They were not able to do it. TL now sitting at 2-1, while the rest of NA is still winless. Certainly seeming like the hope for the LCS in this event. We'll see if they can contest Europe in the gauntlet tomorrow.
The relay, of course, gonna be difficult. See if TL can find a win there. It will, of course, be a start. We'll get a chance to play in Game 4 again if they are able to find one of those wins. And the Sadamumu this time for Europe. And I liked Karma top, and the rest of it wasn't so sure about. Let's say it that way from the side of OG.
I mean, I think it's one of those compositions that can look good if you dominate early. They didn't, and then it tends to look like a little bit of pie in the face.
Was a bit pie in the face, excellently described. For more on that game, Rip is standing by with the jungler from the triumphant team.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. I am joined by Xmithy after their victory over OG. Another win for NA. Seemed a little bit more loose for the team. You guys feel like you were feeling pretty good coming into this one.
Yeah, we were just trying to have fun as much as we can, and yeah, playing Sonateric is, I guess, pretty fun.
We saw online on media, you kind of said the EU has you guys in a few of the points across the game, and that was just the truth. What do you think for NA are the low-hanging fruits where we can start to attack those points of weakness and get on a level where we're just smashing EU?
I mean, we're pretty good at teamfight, I think. Not teamfight tactics, but just...
yeah, of course.
But we're pretty good just like being really good as a team, and our macro is improving day by day, and playing against EU teams, whether or not maybe serious or not, we're still learning a ton.
Right on. Xmithy, thank you so much. Congratulations on the win. Picking NA up a little bit as we throw to the State Farm analyst desk to break that down.
Thank you very much. We'll take them both, team fighting and team fight tactics. I think NA's got it.
We definitely have an early start on team fight tactics.
Yeah, without a doubt. At least from the broadcast perspective, we would crush them. But TL does find the second win of the tournament for NA here. That will feel good for the 1 seed moving towards that best-of-5 relay race, where I think many expect them to be the hope for NA to maybe carry a game or two if we are to come away with the win.
Already abandoning on the whole best-of-5 there, Dash. Not confident that TSM
No, I said that they would be the one it's just that, you know what? I don't need to justify this to you.
Let's
talk about this game, Betty.
Let's talk about the game, because we did see, once again, kind of mirror matchups down towards the bot side of the map, where Griffin, in the end of spring, in the finals, they actually brought out this Taliyah Pantheon lane up against SKT, and it was all about trying to snowball early, trying to get ahead. But while they found a couple picks, they weren't really able to snowball that massively. They were catching a couple of members out of Team Liquid throughout the early game, but it never really resulted in anything significant, which allowed a lot of time for Team Liquid to just ramp up scale and get to the point where they could just force these team fights that they are so confident in.
Yeah, I mean, they really just did not play to their composition. OG drafted Taliyah Pantheon. They got some early kills. You're supposed to use those ultimates, the semi-global ultimates. You spread the map, you continue to look for pickoffs, and you have this burst damage that you actually get people while they're transitioning across the map. You don't go all mid lane and team fight the Sonateric team. That is the way to lose.
I also questioned why they decided to run the Kai'Sa as well, because it felt like it didn't offer a lot of value in this comp. Note that they don't have the greatest amount of utility. Their hope is to kind of get a pick, but when you're grouping up as a 5-man unit, you're just asking to teamfight this Team Liquid comp, and it was so easy for the Jarvan to just set up the EQ combo, land the ultimate, and then the follow-up is very easy from the likes of a Lux and the Sonar as well.
Right, I'd understand a bit more like the TF that we've seen in the mid lane here. Just add globals to globals to globals and continue the pick-oriented play. But for Team Liquid, as Xmithie mentioned, when you do choose to stack up against them in the 5v5, that is one of their strengths. Add to that their comp already being geared towards that, and it's almost a certain victory.
Yeah, you have to play the side lanes in this situation. I mean, EU always memes about NA in the mid lane, yet this time around, it's OG all going through mid.
Yeah, meme
my
all you want.
My favorite part about that was that the top tier 1 was up, the bot tier 2 was up for Origin as well, and they kept running it down mid lane, and TL's like, this is our environment, we're ready to fight you here, and they did it every single time.
Look, the mid lane is the shortest distance between our Nexus and theirs.
Exactly.
Right? So it's just efficiency.
But also the way they set up the Baron was very good as well. They had full river control, and like, again, it looked like the Origin was saying, hey, we can get mid-prio here and we can actually use this to try and challenge for the Baron. But TL was just setting up this really nice trap where they were saying, we actually don't want to start the Baron. We're going to catch you while you're setting up this mid-prio, and then we'll look to punish. So I think we saw a lot of positive things from Team Liquid. I hope this reinforces their win from earlier in the day when they beat G2, even though they were running a composition that many wouldn't take as seriously as others. I think that this is a better demonstration of what TL is capable of and why teams like G2 still showcase their respect to this team and what they're capable of.
I think the one fear that I can see, even in a win like this, is the idea that Sonateric is what we keep reaching for.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, while Europe continues to test new things on the stage, again, looking forward to tomorrow, any European team can now go into a game against Team Liquid and be pretty certain what TL will reach for if it's left open.
Yeah, I mean, I personally really wanted to see Doublelift and Core JJ on a regular bottom lane for them because I felt like that would be an advantage for Team Liquid.
Right, we saw Caitlyn Lux most recently in Summer Split here in NA, and they've shown dominance in being able to control the lane that way. I mean, again, speaking to the Alistairs of old, I understand he's out of the meta, but like, where are those playmakers? Where's the Rakan? Where's the ability to unlock Core JJ to really make plays around the map?
But you can see the power of the team fighting of Sonateric and the healing that does come in, why they keep going back to it. It feels like they're trying to prove the point of like why the priority is still on these champions and trying to like display, hey, a lot of the professional teams want them nerfed.
Yeah,
but
without
I think
a doubt.
Tomorrow is going to be a bigger test for Team Liquid because I think expectations are that Origin is looking for TSM. We already talked a little bit about this earlier in the day. And the question mark is, which will it be, Fnatic or G2? So far in this tournament, only Fnatic has been able to usurp Team Liquid, but I do know that both European representatives want to stamp their authority on the top representative from North America.
Quite true. 2-6 is the record between the regions here as we move towards Game 5, right around the corner. TSM and Fnatic face off when we return.
Answer burn, maybe hammer form. He could be dead here. Just gonna walk him down. This is the Karma special, the early flash forward to make sure it connects. Alphari grabbing the solo kill.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm kind of far. I'm going left side.
Now it's disaster for OG, locked in the cage and knocked down in an instant. Impact line forward. Alphari still taking, but it doesn't matter. He threads the needle. He finds the kill, locked up under the tower.
Oh, I got it. Into that. Okay, I will help you. Come down.
Oh, you kill it?
Come to me, baby.
Just move. Down.
If you dodge, block for it.
You can. Guardian's coming.
Oh, I got it.
Last dance, Smithy goes in. They just immediately Torkoal. They're going to be able to manage to grab one, but no, in the end, nobody going to die. Impact, and the rest of the team still alive. Nukeduck taken down where he stands.
Hey! Uber? LAPD.
Whoa, you've been getting a great ride.
You can help me crack a case I've been working for years.
It's gonna be uber fun.
Here we go!
How do you know my dad?
He kidnapped me.
I got an idea! Oh!
We killed some people.
Huh.
Stuber, rated R, in theaters July 12.
Rivals 2019, powered by Alienware, for our final matchup of the first stage. It's TSM versus Fnatic, and as always, it's time to see the players loading onto the Rift. And the blue side, it's going to be TSM. In the top lane, it's Broken Blade, jungle, Acadian, mid lane, Bjergsen, bot lane, Sven, supports. That's it says mid in the prompter. Smoothie and Coach Zay. Gotcha.
Facing them on the red side, it's Fnatic. In the top lane, Whippo. In the jungle, Dan making his return. Mid laner, Nemesis, bot can be Reckless, and Mickey X with Coach Youngbuck.
Of course, Hylissang there. All right, we figured it out. This is the atmosphere that we're in today.
Yeah.
We're uncertain if it's going to be dead serious or if it's going to be wild and trolly, so we'll mix it up. And Fnatic games, of course, are all about hard camping a single lane. And while the draft is not here yet, in the game of camp lane roulette, where are you expecting it to be, Azael? Where do they go?
See. Mid. They haven't gone mid yet.
That's true.
You know, mix it up. They did bot one game, top one game. All things being even, they should go mid lane.
Yeah, show us a variety of options.
Yeah, let Nemesis have some fun, right?
Big strong confidence. Of course, Dan on the stage. Going to be interesting to see his second game. We share a name, so I have high expectations for him.
He's
let
representing
me down.
Dan's everywhere.
Dan's everywhere.
Yeah. Dan,
yes! There's another Dan!
He's like, better not let me down.
What's up, Dan? There we go. That's what it's about. It's me, you, and the Dan in the audience, dear friend.
At least three.
At least three. And who's ever watching at home. And of course, have to see if TSM are going to be able to adapt. It has been a difficult tournament thus far, for TSM, to put it softly. And I'm curious what level they're going to show us in this game.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully for them and for their fans, you know, they are going to be able to put up a better fight than they have in the first two games, where it has been, you know, two very one-sided affairs, you know, going the way of TSM's opponents. So certainly want to see them step up to the table here. We have seen what Fnatic likes to do, and I think that, you know, if you are going up against Fnatic here, you have to be ready for the camp. You have to be ready for the fact that if they come once, they're probably coming again and again and again, and you have to be able to actually respond to and play around that. I would also love to see if TSM is willing to kind of go a little bit more early game. There have been a lot of scaling picks that they have been going for, you know, things along the lines of the Ezreal, even the Akali, you know, a lot of slower drafts. Certainly they have some very talented solo laners. They have these guys who are capable of piloting these kind of aggressive picks, and I would like to see if TSM can be the ones to be ramping up the pressure here and really kind of, you know, put the shoe on the other foot. Try to put Fnatic on the defensive a little bit, who has such a strong early game.
And one person I'm always excited to see set foot onto the stage is Broken Blade. This is a guy that I love watching before he came to the LCS, and obviously has these huge pop-off moments. And he's up against a guy like Whippo, and both these guys have had incredible, insane, game-changing performances. Yes, they've also had their fumbles, but if they're not going to go mid lane, top lane is my second choice, just because I love the solo carry options that can be played there. Probably not going to see a Riven game, but God, I want a Riven game, Azael. So I'm hopeful for something crazy, hopeful for something wild in this draft, and for TSM to really mix it up.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you're also hoping that Acadian can have a strong game here. You know, looking to really be able to kind of prove himself on the stage here. You know, internationally, going up against Fnatic, who is undefeated still, not only at Rift Rivals but in the LEC. You know, if you're counting both those games, they're 8-0 essentially so far this split. You know, playing very, very well, and you know, being the first team to have taken them down would feel really good for TSM, and also just getting a win, you know, not only for themselves, but for their region. TL, the only team to have grabbed wins thus far for North America. And TSM, you know, they had TL pushed to the brink in the spring finals, right? They got reverse swept. They want to be on that same level, you know, on that same stage, competing with the very best. They certainly have international aspirations. So you have to be able to show that you can compete with these top-level teams if you want to realistically be able to have that great performance that they're striving for at Worlds.
Absolutely, and I think that a lot of that can start here. It does not have to wait for the next week of the LCS. Can start to turn things around. Hand warmers being handed to Whippo as he gets ready. You can see his focused face. It's time. Maybe feeling the pressure a bit. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what to expect from TSM, and as a much more casual viewer of the LCS than I have been in the past, as of course as a catcher of the LEC, I do want to see them ramp up because they're such a legacy org and they've had such high highs. And also, as someone who's cast so much Sven in my career, I want to see the old pop off, take control of the game Sven. And it feels like he only does that when that's what the meta tells him to do. And I think that this tournament has showed us that the meta's a little more open to interpretation than a lot of teams are willing to let it be.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a monstrously strong bot lane player. You know, we know he can play all those, mechanically demanding carries as well. He has an incredible Lucian. He certainly, is capable of piloting all those sorts of champions. And slight delay on the stage, as Hill is saying. We're just waiting for him to be able to get into the game. I believe had a slight error with the client, something along those lines. So shouldn't be too long, and then we'll be heading into picks and bans. But yeah, I think really the question on everyone's mind is, will TSM go earlier game? Because that had been what they were doing in spring. That had been what everyone was praising them for. This run towards playoffs, for TSM was incredibly dominant. They had won something like 9-10 games in a row. They played very well in playoffs, very aggressively. And then it seems that whether it's their read on the meta or whether it is, something else that is changing behind the scenes, they're certainly looking very different than they did in spring. Still having a strong split, I would say, overall in summer, but not as dominant, not, really, I think, meeting up to those really, really high expectations that the fans have had of them and that they have of themselves.
Definitely the case, and I think that it's interesting because heard from Xmithie after that game, hey, we're learning a lot while we're playing here, hoping, helping us ramp up, helping us learn more, and it's going to be interesting to see what TSM has learned in their last 2 games about what will and what won't work for them. Obviously have played Grig in 1 game. This is now the 2nd game for Acadian, and we are going into pick and ban, folks. And immediately, Pyke is going to get taken off the table. Hill is saying, of course, one of the great Pykes in EU. Good to see it taken out of his hands.
Yeah, going to be banning that away. Karma, no surprise seeing that on the ban table here against TSM. But the question I think on everyone's mind really is just what are the North American teams learning from this? We've seen in the past, back at the first Rift Rivals where North America was actually winning. Europe then went back and learned so much, I think, from the mid-jungle style that NA was playing. Will these North American teams be able to start kind of picking up on all the flex pick and the aggressive play that I think the LEC teams have really showcased to great effect? And I think a lot of that onus is going to be on bot laners, right? To be able to show that they have the flexibility to not just play marksman, but to play these different styles of picks and even play them in the different lanes.
And this is only really the 2nd time we've been able to say that. It was the mage meta back when mages were incredibly powerful, things like Swain on the bottom side of the map, and now with the creativity that we're seeing coming out of the LEC, and already Fnatic limiting some of the less aggressive picks, some of the more sit back and scale sort of options in the Sona. Sejuani also taken off the board, and a lot of the engage and map movement options taken off of the TF and the Pyke. And see what TSM want to first pick here. Of course, a happy hover over on the Zed, but it will be the Yuumi locked in the end.
All right, so Yuumi going to get grabbed up. Did not work out for them yesterday when they did play it. They were ganked early and often, punished very heavily by OG, who ran that Pyke lane, who level 2 ganked him with the Sejuani. It was non-stop focus on Sven and Smoothie. But something along the lines of Yuumi Sivir is extremely popular in NA. Wouldn't be surprised to see them grab that if Fnatic does not elect to take it away. And Reckless, also an excellent Sivir player. Would not be surprised to see that as a takeaway and also as a denial. So going to be feeling pretty good about these first 2 picks. Aatrox also extremely high priority. Likely going to be going up to Bwipo in that top lane.
And one of the premier comfort picks for Bwipo as well. So both Reckless and Bwipo very comfortable in the draft thus far. Curious to see what Dan is going to go for. We've only seen his Jarvan thus far on this stage. What is going to be the next backup option? And I'm going to be honest, I would be excited to see this. It is now locked in. Of course, has the potential to be flexed into the mid lane, but a much more aggressive bot lane.
So we did see one of these drafts actually when TSM got this, and what they did was actually kind of this speed up Lucian comp, where I want to say they were playing with Zilean, if I'm recalling correctly. And Sven had an absolute pop-off game with the Lucian plus the Yuumi. I believe it was a Zilean as well. And it was Sven like flying into the fights at light speed, being able to actually take down their opponents. Aurelia, another very high priority pick. This one certainly could be flexed, but more likely to be going mid lane. That is certainly where it has been played most these days in NA. So Bjergsen may be grabbing that pick, and it will be the Rek'Sai here looking like for Dan.
All right, so yet another jungler that can be quite proactive in the early game. We'll see if he wants to go for the Hail of Blades and just try to capitalize on early game strength. And they're going to start to limit the jungle pool immediately on the side of Fnatic. Do not want to see the Skarner. May see another jungler banned away as well. And I'm curious if Fnatic, if we're going to see them swap again. We have, of course, seen them use the Shen to counter the Aatrox mid lane matchup. They've been very willing to send Nemesis onto the top side of the map, to send Bwipo into the mid lane. Not swapping in champ select, but of course swapping in game. And Rakan taken away from Hylissang. A good choice, honestly. Anytime you can get Hylissang off of a playmaking engaged support, he is just a much weaker player, I believe.
And I mean, honestly, that just shows so much respect over to Hylissang. there's not a lot of support players you're going to ban Rakan against. You know, if there's already a different AD than Xayah picked, right? You know, that's usually the only time you see attention to this pick. But Hylissang's such a good player on Rakan that even alongside Sivir, people feeling it is worth banning away. Certainly some jungle targeting being done here. Hecarim Zilean, you know, is possible for TSM. That is what this kind of Yuumi Lucian was actually paired up with last time, so it was in fact a Zilean. They did play with Kennen top, so a little bit of a difference there. But there is the possibility of a similar kind of style of composition along those lines that would be much more of a scaling coming out of your mid lane and jungle though. Going up against Rek'Sai, that could be pretty frightening. We know that Rek'Sai is a beast early game. Aatrox certainly has a lot of early laning power as well, so they could go for a more aggressive option. Akaadian certainly a very strong player of a lot of aggressive picks. That's really how he made his name for himself coming onto the scene, playing a lot of things along the lines of the Lee Sin, the Kha'Zix, these types of picks.
But now, of course, we see the Lux banned away, very standard for that to be paired with the Sivir, incredibly powerful meta bot lane, but the Nautilus will be picked up. This is something that's been kind of falling away in priority recently, but of course can still be very powerful. And you talk about aggressive early junglers, Azael, might just have an Elise on her hands.
So as funny as it is, when they played the Lucian Yuumi bot lane, they actually played against Sivir Nautilus. It was this exact bot lane. So it's a run back. And Nautilus was thought of as one of the early counters to Yuumi because of the hard engage. Now, the answer that TSM used in that series, and the answer that a lot of players have been using, is actually forego the TP and triple defensive summon. So you actually run Barrier on the Lucian, and you can run Exhaust and Heal on the Yuumi, and then for that all-in, you have 3 defensive summoners. And if that all-in does get failed, you can then start to take over the lane through Poke and through the kind of return harass. We'll see if they do elect to run that style, or if they're going to forego the Barrier, because this is, you know, perhaps something that they feel they can withstand, but definitely have to be worried about the power of that all-in, especially alongside the Rek'Sai, who's going to be a strong early jungler. So looking like Corki mid, I think that makes a lot of sense here, grabbing some AP into the composition. Nice scaling pick. Fnatic looking like they have, you know, a splash of early game here with the Aatrox, as well as that Rek'Sai. They have powerful engage alongside this Nautilus, but the late game is also pretty secure when you have a Sivir and a Corki who are going to be scaling really well all the way up to 6 items.
And honestly, this is a textbook Fnatic draft. You've got playmaking for Hylissang. You have a comfortable mid lane pick up for Nemesis. Reckless on comfort champions. Well, it's really comfort across the board. Obviously, you would prefer to Pyke if you're a big Hylissang fan, but the Nautilus is still quite good. And not getting a lot of respect over to TSM despite the O2 stars that they've had. Drafting something that just looks to be pure comfort for them. And on the opposite side for TSM, you've got early proactive playmaker for Akaadian. You talked about how crucial that could be for the team, as well as the potential power of the Yuumi Lucian bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, and to TSM's credit, this does not feel like a draft where they're saying, yep, let's just sit back and go late. This feels like they want to be more aggressive. You have the Elise who wants to get out on the map, who wants to dominate, be repeat ganking nonstop, you know, match that pressure, if not even overcome it, that the Rek'Sai has. And then you have this Aurelia and Neeko, 2 very powerful solo laners who really do turn online at 6. The all-in potential can be very powerful there alongside a Rek'Sai, so, or rather alongside that Elise. So I'm going to be really interested to see how they do pull this off. But it is TP on the Lucian, so not going to have the barrier. And as a result, Sven will be much more susceptible to that all-in, especially if Dan does make a trip down to that bottom lane. And I think you would be wanting to focus wherever the Nautilus is, because Nautilus has such incredible gank assistance. So we'll have to see how TSM can actually play around that. Will Akaadian be able to match gank for gank with Dan playing this Rek'Sai?
That is the question as we head into our final game of the first stage. TSM fans alive in the studio tonight. I've got my eyes on the mid lane as well. We've seen it in the hands of G2, but the power of Elise, Aurelia, if you can ever land the Cocoon, the Chain CC. Corki, not a champion who wants to get behind early, has the luxury of going for the Kleptomancy in this matchup, so very focused, not on necessarily early trading, but more on scaling up, getting a bit more gold under his belt, getting that fast Trinity Force.
Yeah, so it's going to be, you know, trying to rush towards that, maximizing income here with the Klepto against this Aurelia. We'll have to see exactly how, you know, TSM wants to play out this bottom lane. I do think that is where so much of the action can be expected to be. You know, Fnatic may throw a curveball, but you know, this is something that they could look to abuse. And TSM did not go for the maximum possible defense. And if you're able to survive without the barrier, then teleport is great. It's going to give you more tempo in this lane. It's going to allow you to kind of continue, you know, battling back with the Sivir, who is going to be playing TP, who is going to try to keep you under your turret. We know that's the style that Reckless has always loved to play throughout his career, not only on the Sivir, but on things like the Tristana as well. So they are going to be trying to match that and just praying that they can kind of withstand any potential all-in.
A little bit of damage being traded down. Ability fired will still get the double Klepto stacks. But going through for now. Mid lane, not necessarily where we keep our attention. Level 2, of course, could be important if someone's able to grab it first, but bot lane, much more set up for action early on. Action should be quite strong. Cat, not the scariest at level 1, but level 3 and a few more points could happen, and missing that dredge line, crucial. Clearly Sven, very comfortable in the Yuumi setup, Smoothie as well, stepping forward just enough to connect there on the Prowling Projectile.
Yeah, and these are two guys who actually play, a lot of solo queue and practice these sorts of things as well. Sven, certainly known as a really big grinder, someone who always is putting in the games to learn not only his champion, but also kind of how best to play with some of these supports. And that's something I think that is incredibly important with Yuumi, understanding the rage on that queue and being able to play best around that to kind of enable Yuumi, especially with this Comet setup, which is so prioritizing hitting that queue. To really succeed.
And really the only option there to find the proc until the ultimate is available. And in the mid lane, Corki, no surprise, a little bit more control over the wave with the power to get a little bit more AoE down. But Bjergsen can constantly threaten fully stacked passes, something you always have to be a bit scared of. And in the top lane, range advantage for the Neeko as well as the Glacial Augment, making it very difficult for Bwipo to approach the wave. Has already been shoved in.
Yeah, Bwipo is just going to accept that it's going to push in and then look to try to farm up as much as he can. You can see actually it's Akaadian heading up to this top side, so at least one of the best divers in the game. They may try to push Bwipo off of this lane. They're going to look for this dive.
Have to be careful though. Flash out. The Cocoon not going to connect as well. Akaadian just going to be able to walk out of that one. Bit of a fumble there, but at the end, they do get the flash.
I don't think you just reset. This is actually perfect. You reset, the wave is still there. Now you started up with no flash on him. Akaadian needs to start the dive, though, so he can repel the aggro off. Oh, no.
Oh, that's not what you want to see. The lockdown is still there, however. The flash out. Bwipo's still alive.
Yeah, that is definitely a botch. They could try to go for it one more time, but if you fail now...
Forms, goes in the air. First blood comes through. Broken Blade. That is going to get taken down in the end. A 1-for-1.
Yeah, definitely not what you want when you're investing that much time and both of your flashes into it. Akaadian, that Cocoon straight into the minion. Dan now here looking to set up a potential dive on this bottom side, at least threatening it. Not sure that they'll go for it, though. Would be difficult with Sven playing around this turret and the double defensive summoners.
Well played by Smoothie there on the Prowling Projectile. We'll look back at this one. And
yeah, this is just something that you need to have Akaadian getting the aggro first. And that is a minion that was there. It didn't move. I mean, he does actually pull the aggro. They do, thankfully, end up getting the first blood, so that is at least something going for them. And Repel does reset that threat, but Broken Blade already had blown his flash, so does go down, and Bwipo not impressed with the play there.
2 Cocoons missed, one of course flashed away from, but a bit unfortunate there. Maybe a bit of nerves on stage for Akaadian. Obviously, a decently high-pressure game as TSM does need to find a win.
But I mean, that is something that they really want to execute on, right? You're investing in the Elise for that sort of play. You need to be able to execute on it. And the difference between giving that kill over or not is so massive, because without that kill, Bwipo essentially has to come back to lane with no buy, right? Maybe he gets just the refillable, but with that, he's actually not sitting in too bad a position. And now with Dan up here, there is the chance to push this out and try to shove Broken Blade back.
Chains come in. Good bit of damage now. Bwipo feeling a lot more confident. Early MR make things a bit easier, but the cooldowns are still so incredibly long that Broken Blade very wisely just goes in for the punish there, knowing that there's really no chance for Bwipo to respond.
Yeah, you can see Akaadian kind of setting up shop here over on the right side of the map, and now looking for Nemesis.
Stun does connect as he's flying through the air. Akaadian has hit the Cocoon. Doesn't even need to. Bjergsen, that damage coming in from the Aurelia.
Yeah, Bjergsen pretty much is getting a solo kill there. Akaadian not much involvement at all. Does grab the assist, but let's watch this one more time as Nemesis getting punished very heavily. Bjergsen going straight in, connects the stun, reset onto that Valkyrie. I think it was just one auto maybe from Akaadian to get that assist, but Bjergsen just mopping up Nemesis there, grabbing a solo kill and putting them in a pretty good spot thus far.
Just got to respect the potential for that really come in, but the tunnel was not taken away. But we're now going to use the ultimate immediately. Broken Blade just deleted off the face of the map.
Yeah, Broken Blade not even able to get his ultimate off there, and the wave is actually in a really bad spot for him. Bjergsen going to have to reset. Did want to push this in, but that wave pushing towards Bwipo, you'll notice he just went back to base, knowing that the wave will be stacking and kind of pushing towards him. So it is actually going to be the TP back from Broken Blade. He will have to expend this to try to shove it in, which may trigger Dan to come up here and try to grab some of this farm. because Bwipo is without his teleport, and here this is one more time. The tunnel was actually never cleared up by Broken Blade, so Dan able to take in the previous tunnel, then use the secondary tunnel to get right on top of Broken Blade, and just makes the call that he's going to go down either way, so not dropping the ultimate and will hang on to that. They are looking for a bit of an invade here, though. Broken Blade and Akaadian moving in. Dan has spotted him with the Tremor Sense, so we'll see if Fnatic even wants to contest. I think they're just going to give it over, though.
Don't really want to risk this one. Fires in with the Prey Seeker. Will connect on the Broken Blade, but the red buff in the end will go over to Akaadian there. So good steal, good use of the pressure that they have in the mid and top lanes from the side of TSM. And just checking in across the board right now, obviously a decent CS lead for Broken Blade on the top side of the map, but Bwipo with the kills will balance out the gold to a good degree. And Boots 2 very early on, not hugely surprising to see once you're able to get in and out of those trades.
And also, I mean, I think the tenacity is so hugely important, not only for the Tangle Bars, but also the Cocoon. There's the Aurelia stun. There's a lot of CC that could be coming across here from really anyone who would be visiting up to that lane. Thus far, pretty even on this bottom side. Hylissang certainly not able to find any type of all-in, but at the same time, you have a Sivir farming, so you're not feeling super pressured. Dan, though, making his way down here. Hylissang getting low.
Looks like he oversteps with the Ricochet, doing a lot of damage here. Dan's still only level 5, however. It'll be hard for him to do anything like reset tower aggro without that ulti. Akaadian on the way bottom, though. Suddenly Sven very much in trouble. The Cocoon does go in. Hylissang going to get immediately deleted, and Dan just left throwing out random auto attacks. Does not really have any follow-up here.
Yeah, those defensive summoners coming in big for TSM. The Exhaust really trying to help out there as Akaadian showed up right place, right time. That was an important counter gank for Akaadian. Needed to get this one back. They do see Hylissang in the area. In comes Dan, but Akaadian is already here. Nails that Cocoon, and Hylissang goes down without even being able to flash. And now Akaadian chasing Dan back to his jungle, but Broken Blade in some trouble.
Ooh, looking a lot more confident as Akaadian. Broken Blade, though, has to be careful. I like that every time Bwipo burns the full combo, that Broken Blade is not afraid to step forward and trade. Does have to give him a bit of respect here, though.
Yeah, especially because Bwipo still has flash, so you always have to be scared of that third Q, especially when that is ready for the third Q flash, especially if Deathbringer stance is active. Can be a lot of burst there. Bwipo, starting to really kind of get control of this lane, thanks to some help from Dan. Also, the mixed execution and great play from Bwipo in those early situations.
Pearson, though, once again going in, has the passive fully stacked, will go right back out. Bwipo is going to ult here. Pop Blossom, find the knock, but of course, a good amount of tenacity means it does not last that long. Does force the flash in the end, but it's just a flash for flash trade. Nemesis, however, in trouble, will use the package. Dan will make it out with the tunnel. And a lot of very close exchanges, but no one's actually going to drop in the end.
Yeah, Bwipo actually using his flash, I think, after we went away. I didn't see him use the flash in the initial play, so maybe tried to flash back in for something else. I'm not sure if I missed that, but either way, some pressure back and forth on the top side. Junglers likely will be getting called up to that top lane as both of these guys have no ultimate, no flash, certainly could be preyed upon by a potential gank. And Nemesis, at this point, just trying to withstand the matchup, wants to farm it out, continue proccing that Klepto, getting as much gold as possible here. And Akaadian and Dan trying to hover around that mid lane a little bit to keep their mid laners feeling safe. Dan now back to that bottom lane here again, though, playing around the Nautilus as expected. And you have level 6 on Hylissang as well as Dan now, so the potential for a turret dive is certainly there, especially when Hylissang has that Ignite available, but they don't have eyes on Akaadian, so that does make it very dangerous to go for, and I think they're just going to elect to try to go over to this Dragon instead.
Yeah, but pressure in the mid lane as well means it's quite an easy decision to rotate over. Just not enough members currently on the map for the side of TSM, as Akaadian did offer the reset. TP as well for Bwipo, an advantage he built earlier, putting that wave in an unfortunate situation for the side of Broken Blade. So well played in the end to get this. It will be spotted out by TSM, though, so they do know the score. The vision is there. Now it's just going to be the recall for the Rek'Sai as Bjergsen will take back control of the mid lane. We'll see what TSM want to do with it.
Yep, going to be able to shove this in. Certainly the right call from TSM to just give that one up. They're going to try to play through the top side, grab the Rift. This is all in.
A lot of damage coming in. Goes Golden. Yuumi, though, not able to take any damage there in exchange. Nautilus not actually ulting despite appearances otherwise. Sven potentially in trouble. TP on the backside. Sven now needs to run. The hook is going to connect. Smoothie needs to get out of there. Bwipo going in for one. Smoothie, there's no disengaged tools left. Can he get out there? The zoomies, I don't think they're going to be enough. Bwipo going to fish for it. The lockup is there. Big damage onto the cat, and Bwipo's going to grab the double.
Bwipo sitting at 4-1 now. Great TP from him, really punishing TSM for this chase. They get the 2v2 kill, which is awesome, but going to be punished very heavily. You can see, though, that Broken Blade at the very least will be taking turret plates on that top side, so getting him to gold back for himself. Sven TPing back down here, but Hylissang is around, and remember, that TP works doubly.
Oh no, Sven did not want to go right back into that meat grinder. Blippo with the ulti up, Sven gets taken out, Smoothie is next, the lockup is there. Are you kidding me? That was not what TSM needed. Fnatic find another 2 kills.
Yeah, they did not expect that Hylissang was still around. They both die, teleport back in, immediately die again. TSM will get first turret. So gold's still in their favor despite that, but certainly not a good look for TSM's bot lane. 4 quick deaths for them. And Bwipo coming out as the huge beneficiary of that one. 5 kills now. He's sitting at 5 and 1. He's way ahead, actually, even of the top lane gold, despite all those turret plates.
Massive. And of course, the top lane play is good, but Rekkles is in an advantageous state. He does get to pick up all that CS left there, and we can take a look at it one more time. Lockup looks initially a little grim. Lasagnas does come out.
Yeah, this was a great stopwatch, utilizing the stopwatch to actually immune the Nautilus ult. That is a graphical error. But, you know, they can see that the counter engage. As Nautilus goes forward for the hook, stopwatch comes out, Smoothie lands the ultimate root. But then the TP from Bwipo coming in from behind. They get the kill. Bwipo's sticking around. They're saying, oh, it's just him. Let's chase him down. Unfortunately, getting way too brazen. Hylissang with the long con waiting in the brush here. They get the kill. They get the reset and grab a second. And Bwipo now has an entire black cleaver.
It's going to be a lot more difficult for Sven. Of course, has the luxury of the dash, but needs to be respectful. Bwipo, though, still one item for Sven as well, the Blade of the Rune King, letting him trade back very effectively and match some of the sustain the Aatrox has.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely not going to win that 1v2, and Akaadian now making his way down to this bottom side of the map. You can see that his Broken Blade with his Sven cosplay is going to be having to likewise back off on the top lane. He knows when all your members are bot side, all their members are top side, you don't get to farm. So he will be just kind of moving into his jungle, trying to grab something there as TSM will race for these turrets. We'll see who will kind of call chicken first and back off to try to defend, but it looks like it should be a one-for-one trade.
And really a fight for the plates here right now. Of course, the 4th and 5th can be a little bit harder to take, but TSM starting to break through. The more members they put here, the more resistances it'll have, so this might take longer as the wave is going to die out. A new one now coming in. They're going to give the last of this to Rekkles. 15 seconds before the plates expire. He should be able to grab this one, and a lot more gold into the back pocket of the Sivir. But now Nemesis coming in, uses the power of the package. Sven potentially caught out here. Bwipo, though.
Here comes Bjergsen.
Moving forward. Where is Bjergsen going to go? Ulti is up available.
Yeah, they have 5
there. This might be a bit of an overstay. Bwipo trying to find something, but there's the flash. Akaadian does go down, though, in the exchange. Still a great dive by TSM. Akaadian, though, maybe not the best play in that exchange.
Yeah, Hylissang and Dan making their way down here, but they still got to be careful. These are multiple solo laners here from TSM. This is not a fight that they can likely win out on, so you know, they are going to have Rekkles just shoving up that mid lane. It was a good trade kill back, taking down Akaadian, but certainly still a positive play for TSM, and nice to see them looking to make those aggressive plays, looking to try to match Fnatic blow for blow. And here it is one more time. Bwipo feeling confident to be able to make this happen when the package has arrived. A good repel initially there from Akaadian, running out, utilizing this Yuumi ultimate to disengage, but then you can see Broken Blade, Bjergsen arriving, and they do look for the dive. Ultimate connects on 2. Akaadian flashing in for the cocoon. Sacrificial lamb for the team there. Maybe could have allowed someone at higher health to actually pick up aggro first and try to protect his life, but still, great play, and they do get the turret too.
And at the end of the day, we look at the gold just across the board. TSM now with more than a 1K gold lead as well as a tower advantage, so things are looking quite good for this team. You're still fighting against a Sivir and a Corki, so you may want to up the tempo a bit more, but it's not like you're going to get completely and totally outscaled as we move later in the game.
Yeah, definitely the case, and I mean, there is some really good team fighting here still from the side of TSM. Some powerful AoE coming through, you know, when you're looking at things like the Yuumi ultimate as well as Aurelia and the Nico kind of flying in there, that can be pretty powerful. That being said, the engage on the side of Fnatic certainly much more reliable when you do have the Nautilus, and having multiple frontliners here for these 2 super scaling marksmen is going to make it an easier team fight to execute.
Oh, the flash from the wall, Hylissang spots him in his sights, but now final chapter is going to come out by a bit more time. Dan has been deleted. Hylissang is next on the list. Fnatic fighting off more than they can chew, and now they're going to be forced to retreat, just running kills into TSM.
And Smoothie with such a great Yuumi ultimate, they're turning it around, and now they're looking for more.
Stun is going to go down. They're baiting. They're buying a little bit more time. Has a few more seconds on the reset there on the Blade Surge. Will not opt to take it. TSM doing good, continuing to extend this goal lead. Now 2K in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, if you fail the all-in against Yuumi, you are going to get rooted up, and then the turnaround can come out, can be very, very powerful. The Zoomies, the healing, the shielding, everything coming through. So they see this pick for Sven. Hylissang says, all right, we're going for it. Flashes in. But look at this ultimate across all of Fnatic there, rooting them up. Then the Tangle Bars is an easy follow-up to repel from Akaadian to buy time. And the rest of TSM can come through to protect him. Akaadian barely surviving that final rocket. But TSM able to grab themselves a couple kills and the Dragon to boot.
And of course, for Hylissang, it's a classic Hylissang moment. He has the brilliant plays where he waits in the brush, trying to prey on kind of enemy habits or intentions, using the TP there on the bottom side. And then you also have these moments where he's a little over-aggressive. He gets some blood in his eyes, and all he can see are those kills, those pick opportunities, and takes too big of a risk.
Well, and I think those are the plays you have to be okay with when you want to try to ask for this aggressive style, right? When we're talking about, all right, you need to take those 60-40s, have faith in your ability to do it. Well, it's not 100-0, right? It's a 60-40. There are these plays that this is an opportunity where he says, Zen is separated, that's the carry, let's burst him down. Almost works, doesn't, but it's not a reason for Fnatic to then back off from those aggressive plays, and that's something that we've seen them, certainly not shy away from, trying to just go right back at their opponents if something doesn't work out, and trusting that it will work out that second time around.
We'll see. First time has been working good for him. Obviously, the 6-2 Aatrox, very strong point in the team. Trinity Force now finished with a Corki. Sivir very steadily working towards that second item, but TSM clearly in control of the map at this stage of the game as they do barrel down the mid lane, look to break that first tier 1. Not quite there yet. Fnatic, or wherever the player are trying to group up, but the ward not spotted by Dan as he was tunneled in. Oh, will now go over. Good input buffer there, but needs to be careful walking into no man's land. It's actually Akaadian who's been bleeds him. Hey, Magic Pen Elise, pretty strong.
Yeah, Dan is very squishy. Just has the MR from his Merc Treads. No HP in the build whatsoever. And he gets shredded there by Akaadian, flexing his muscles in the jungle here. TSM, that's a big pick for them because it's buying them more pressure around this mid lane while they have their solos out in the side lanes pushing. They're going to look to try to take control of the map from this.
Ooh, now Whipple's actually the one in trouble. He's not going to be able to get out. Does not get the free revive anymore, and TSM are just tearing Fnatic apart.
Yeah, that one was way too bold for Whipple. Your jungler just died. You're down a member there, and they walk in for the fight anyway. TSM now can look to knock down this turret. Broken Blade is knocking down the tier 2 in the bottom side. Will not be able to kill up, but will get some damage down, and TSM, a couple of nice kills, getting control of this map, and we'll see if Broken Blade does overstay because Dan and Nemesis are both here, but we have to remember, Dan is so far behind.
He's level 8.
He's lower level than the Yuumi, lower level than his support. He's 3 levels down on Akaadian, so, he is exceptionally weak right now, and this is maybe more okay, not that it's great, if you're like a Trundle with a Knight's Vow or something. This is a Warrior Rek'Sai, right? Like, you're supposed to be the powerful early game farmer who's in their face. He's nearly 3,000 gold behind Akaadian now. Akaadian is really starting to run over Dan in this game. Sitting at 217, Dan only managing to be involved in the 1 assist. Certainly, having a bit of a rougher game his second go on this international stage.
And of course, the Jarvan game was pretty solid in his first performance. They did take that away on the side of TSM, so maybe not quite as comfortable on the Rek'Sai, and definitely not as comfortable in this game as we can see. And Akaadian, easy to be critical of him after dying on the bot side as well as fumbling the top side dive, but has stepped it up outside of those 1 or 2 instances and has been actually very dominant in this game.
I mean, again, when we're asking for aggressive plays, they're not all going to be perfect, right? And Akaadian certainly did, mis-execute on that dive on the top side, but he's played a great game besides that. He has been in the right place at the right time with the counter ganks. He's been heavily out farming his opponent. He's now playing in Dan's face, and with these 2 completed items plus the sword boots, you are a legitimate threat to 100-0 the Corki, the Sivir, like a lot of these players. So you have to stand up and take notice on the side of Fnatic. This is an additional AP threat at this point in the game that he can really take someone down if you misstep.
And honestly, I think it's good that you bring up aggressive playstyle because I feel like for TSM, with the Sivir and the Corki only getting stronger as the game goes on, onus is kind of on them to continue to be aggressive, to continue to find these opportunities, and to extend the very solid gold advantage that they've built up for themselves. Now 3K, I feel like every time we check in, they have another 1,000 gold advantage in their pocket.
Yeah, and the question now is, everything has looked great for TSM thus far. This is the TSM that people loved from spring. This is the TSM that people have been wanting to see in summer. Can you close out the game? That is the question on everyone's mind, because You know, this gold lead, while great, you know, sitting just under 3,000, it is not enough to guarantee you a win. You've got to keep pushing the pace. You've got to keep pressuring Fnatic here, who are looking to scale and become monstrously strong later on.
Now see if Sven has isolated themselves. They're just going to back off immediately. You have to remember, it was Jensen who overstayed at the tier 2 in the mid lane, got killed, and instantly the game turned in Fnatic's favor. But Broken Blade just getting another advantage on the bottom side. Everything's working out for TSM in the end.
Yeah, they're able to get the disengage, and Bwipo far forward.
That's forward. They're going to have enough to get him. There's the Pop Blossom, but they're not going to get it. He gets instantly popped there, but Akaadian will grab one right back.
Yeah, that would have been a great play from Broken Blade, except he didn't use his Zhonya's, unfortunately. He wanted to go for the Pop Blossom Zhonya's to be able to actually continue that channel during it. May have got stunned up when he was trying to hit that. I didn't actually see if something did hit him. Either way, they still do get a kill. He trades his life. It could have been better for TSM, but it's not the worst. And again, this is the kind of thing you have to be okay with if you want this aggressive play. So in he goes. I think he just got straight up burst down. Didn't expect the damage. Maybe there was a knock-up from Dan that I couldn't quite see as there was a lot of players kind of overlapping there.
A lot of particles going on there.
But either way, does get knocked down. They do get the kill on Nemesis. They do get the kill on the Dragon as well. So TSM overall still going to be pretty happy with the play. Maintaining that 3,000 gold advantage. Getting another Dragon under their belt.
Things look good. Dan, of course, continuing to get scarier and scarier. Reckless with 2 items as well, but it's also a 2-item Lucian. It's a 2-item Neeko on the top side of the map. Bwipo has not quite had the same explosive mid game that he did in the early game, and while he is a terror with all that CDR, with the Death Stance, really hasn't been able to utilize it. TSM just keeps bursting him before he can do anything.
Yeah, has not been able to make the most of it, certainly, but that Corki is scaling. Essence Reaver plus Triforce is a really powerful build that is going to set up yourself well to go towards, IE, Rapid Fire, be sitting near that 100% crit rate. You can be incredibly strong with this type of build. You're on 40% CDR, so your poke is a lot stronger. With the Essence Reaver, you never have to worry about running out of mana whatsoever. And this is really kind of eyes towards the late game for Nemesis, as well as Reckless, who is working towards that IE. 3 items is always the kind of point in the game that I like to talk about Sivir starting to really get strong. Once you have some attack speed, you have a lot of AD with the IER, the ricochets can start to become a really, really big threat for a lot of these squishy members over on TSM, A stray ricochet or 2 hitting the Elise, and you can be very low on health.
Speaking of hitting the Elise, Akaadian has now been caught out. He will go up, but TSM is now advancing forward. Control Ward will give him a route out to safety and stop the play in its tracks.
Yeah, nicely done. TSM now, though, need to get some forward vision, right? If you're going to try to play the game through the 1-3-1, I want to see them clearing out these wards, getting some wards down, and that is, it looks like, what they are trying to do at this point. 3 wards now dropped here on this bottom side. This is kind of trying to give protection in this area for Bjergsen. And
now in trouble, just immediately going to get popped up. Will he get deleted in the process? Still alive. The Aftershock keeping him healthy. Not going to go in the ball. Prime projectile will not connect. Akaadian now on the retreat. Broken Blade trying to turn, and they're in the pinch. Broken Blade on the way in, but he's taking so much damage. Has his Zhonya's, does get pulled back, but they'll just grab Dan and walk away happy.
Yeah, that TP coming in from Broken Blade, you have to respect that if you're Fnatic, because the Pop Blossom Zhonya's is ready. And TSM pushing forward here, looking to knock down this turret.
Breaking it, the ulti does not connect, however. Bjergsen has to back off, but it does force Fnatic away while they break the tier 2 tower.
And now we may see TSM try to move that vision over towards the Baron area. We are 24 minutes into the game. They knock down the last of the outer tier in that bottom lane. Cracking that inhibitor turret, I think, will be very, very difficult with the wave clear that Fnatic has. So I think we have to see TSM continue to push forward, now focus around the top lane, look for that tier 2 outer, try to get vision in and around the Baron pit, and force Fnatic to try to take a fight that they are not necessarily ready for right now.
Good call overall. See if they can find the opportunity to do so. Bjergsen only getting scarier, picks the BF sword as well. Potentially the Spooky Ghost coming in for Broken Blade too. So, I mean, Fnatic are not going to get the luxury of sitting comfortably on the sidelines. Way too many tools to catch them out at this point in the game.
Yeah, and it does seem like TSM is looking up towards that top side now. You can see the Scuttle has spawning. Likely Akaadian will be heading over there to try to take this out. Some vision starting to get placed, but they have to make sure that they have a clean sweep, that no wards are left alive in this area, because these kind of pockets of vision are going to give Fnatic a lot of confidence that nothing is being started up. You can actually see, this ward outside will show them if they're going to the Baron pit. The pink ward was missed. This ward is here, is also not covered. So really TSM need to get some more pinks, reset, have one inside the Baron pit, one outside the Baron pit, one in that pixel brush that they already have. And that will kind of give you that full secure around that area. Then you want to actually see them moving forward from that area, up into the Fnatic jungle, up in here, trying to push back the vision even further, so Fnatic can't even come forward to check on the Baron Pit. That's kind of that secondary step that becomes very, very important.
Absolutely, because if they make a fumble right now, they still have the gold advantage. It will not cost them a fight, most likely, unless Hylissang finds a pick, but it does cost them time. It gives more time for Rekkles to approach 3 items. You mentioned it, 3 items, the point where you want to talk about Sivir. Well, he's, a crit cloak and a bit completion cost away from hitting that Infinity Edge and really being a massive threat in the coming fight.
And I mean, he has 800 gold in his pockets, so really he's only about 400 and something gold away from actually finishing that IE. We are seeing Nemesis farming very, very well also. So let's drop that package, it looks like. Just getting back to lane, but TSM are starting to move up now. This is kind of that next step. They still need to clear out the ward around the Baron Pit. They have the pink ward inside the pit, but you need one just outside because you cannot actually cover all areas of the Baron Pit and that sneaky ward right against the wall outside it with just one pink.
See if they do it. Sweepers, of course, are on cooldown for now, so at least a little bit of time before Fnatic has to be really scared.
And there's actually no pink in the inventory of TSM right now, so likely that ward will stay around.
Oh, there's going to be the Cocoon. Hylissang now going to be in trouble here. Final Chapter comes in. Hylissang alive for now. A lot of members going to be locked up. Hylissang now deleted. Bjergsen on a rampage, but at the flash of safety. Bwipo wants to get something done. Broken Blade on the backside. Bwipo now in trouble. Goes gold and buys a bit of time, but he's all but set to fall now. Bwipo alive, but taken down in the end. Bjergsen unstoppable. Cadian grabs a kill as well.
And that should be the Baron for TSM. They get some vision there, and it's actually Fnatic that decide, we're going to start the fight. But they started the fight before the IE purchase. They decide to try to take that battle. They're not able to knock down Cadian, and TSM will get the Baron and a very big gold lead at this point. And now with the 1-3-1, they have the tools they need to potentially close out this game.
I mean, you look at it, it's a masterful performance. You look back on these 2 picks, you think maybe Fnatic have found something, but the Yuumi and the Lucian and now the Aurelia damage is just too much.
Yeah, it's so hard to engage into a Yuumi because if you're piling forward, you're going to get rooted by that ultimate. Bjergsen stepping back, dodging out on the 3rd Q from Bwipo, then follows in for the cleanup as Dan on the side gets taken down by Sven, Cadian, and Smoothie. And now TSM have the Baron buff, so we have to see how much can you get done with this Baron buff. Taking it off the map, not enough, but they are 6K ahead. If you can knock down these last 2 outers, if you can crack the inhibitor line, you can really start to kind of put together all those pieces you need to close out this game.
And of course for Fnatic, a 6K deficit, but 1 teamfight is all it takes to start to even things up here, but it is by no means an easy road. For now, they're going to try to take total control of this topside jungle, set up to break down those tier 2 towers, push for that inhibitor as you mentioned.
Certainly one bright side though, after that fight, Rekkles completed the IE, so he is now on those 3 items, and we are seeing them get closer and closer to that. Cadian, though, gets hooked in.
Is it going to be enough? However, Yuumi trying to buy a bit more time. Final chapter, a lot of members rooted up, but the rest of the team is not here. Rekkles and Nemesis untouched on the backside, but all eyes on Big Bjergsen. Trying to find his way in. Broken Blade going in for a little bit more. Hylissang still alive. They watch the Nico. Pop Blossom comes out. They buy a bit more time. The GA has proc, and Bwipo is immediately taking down the double kill for Sven. TSM are looking for a queen sweep. Rekkles running for his life. The flash forward from Cadian will not find purchase, but TSM absolutely in advantage state.
Yeah, TSM looking very good at this point. They get 3-4-0 there, and they are still on the map with the Baron buff. They will clean up this top lane turret. They will look for the mid lane tier 2, and they can try to push forward here and knock down an inhibitor tower. But Nemesis and Rekkles back out on the map. They've got to be careful.
A lot of damage there. Going to stop the chase in its tracks, but of course enough members left up and alive. That's all of them in this case. Now to push in the mid lane as well. A lot of wave clear between the Sivir and the Corki. Will be able to keep those inhibitor towers alive and well, but Cadian has now been caught out. The prowling projectile will offer a good bit of disengage, and the Zoomies will take him out to safety.
Yeah, they are going to be able to get out of there and will reset. A minute and 20 or so left on that Baron buff. Here it is one more time, and again, witness the power of the disengage here from Yuumi. One of the really highly prized parts of this champion. 4-man root from the ultimate. Look at the hitbox on it, it's just enormous. Then Cadian goes into that repel, buying a lot of time. Nico coming across. They turn back and collapse onto Bwipo as Broken Blade has zoned out Nemesis and Rekkles. Pop Blossom Zonius buys the time. Fnatic does a nice job of actually dodging away from that, so not getting tagged by the damage. But once the rest of the squad is out, the carries from Fnatic have to retreat, and Akaadian trading his flash with Rekkles there is actually very big because now you have the ability to perhaps pile on top of Rekkles and knock him down. Sivir, obviously no move block of her own, does rely very heavily on that flash, and one little bit of CC catches him, he could be getting burst down.
And things are just going from bad to worse on the side of Fnatic. A miserable performance from Dan, honestly, has had an incredibly rough game. And Rek'Sai is not a late game champion. Now, normally I'd say the same about the Elise, except the Elise is hella fed, so she can just kill anyone she wants to. So normally I would say, hey, it's probably about even in the late game, but Akaadian can just delete people and is also, with the Zhonya's, incredibly hard to lock down in these fights.
I mean, not even when you're almost 5,000 gold ahead, turns out, right? That's a pretty big deal, certainly. But, you know, the one thing for Fnatic you can be really happy about is the base didn't get broken during the Baron buff, right? And you have tons of wave clear. So the pressure becomes now for TSM, they're not going to take an inhibitor unless they get kills and then take it, right? So Fnatic kind of can go a little bit back into turtle mode. You have the IE now completed on Nemesis, so slowly but steadily, they are getting those items. And if you fail to engage, if you fail to dive, Corki and Sivir have the damage to turn around and knock you guys down very quickly. There's no tank. There's no, you're dependent on stopwatches and Zhonya's and, and kind of dodging in and out of the fights. So TSM has to be clean about their execution. Yes, they are certainly in the driver's seat here, but this is by no means a guaranteed win.
And something to note is that for the most part, it's been Fnatic kind of kicking off a lot of these fights as well. TSM just very quick to punish, knowing that they have the advantage. So we'll have to see if they're more confident outside of Akaadian to kind of push for a bit more.
Yeah, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. Or if TSM wants to sit back and wait for the next Baron. I think that is going to be the call. They don't feel like it is an intelligent choice to try to dive the base. I think that's correct. Certainly, it's just so risky, right?
Yeah, you're fine. You have a huge lead. Why risk anything?
And I mean, the thing is, though, if this was G2, they wouldn't be diving the base, right? And that's kind of the different thought process, I feel like, oftentimes, is about how you close out the game. I think this is kind of the more safer, more consistent style of closing out the game that they're looking for. It will, again, be about setting up vision in this sort of area. And they will be looking to try to take this Baron as it spawns in 1 minute. The Elder will be up in 3, so they will always have that as a backup plan as well. But, cracking the base without the Baron buff is so hard for TSM because the wave clear is really, really good between this Corki and Sivir at this point. I mean, Sivir can basically kill a wave with one Boomerang Blade and a Ricochet Auto.
But also important that Fnatic have been locked in their bases. They've been kept out of the jungle. A lot of their vision has been denied because when that Baron does come out, Fnatic need to make a choice. They either give it up uncontested or they walk blindly into that jungle.
Yeah, and that is really, really tough to do against this super fed Elise, against a lot of these members on TSM. So we'll see what the call is going to be here. They have 20 seconds, so they can try to reset one more time and then look to try to walk in as a 5-man squad and hope that they can take whatever comes from TSM. But I would not be surprised if Fnatic just make the call to say, no, you know what, we're going to give it up. We're going to try to defend the base. We're going to try to continue to play for it late because even if you just give up one inhibitor on a Baron, the game's still not over. But it looks like for now they have the package. They are grouping up, and they are going to look to try to slowly move in here as a 5-man squad, see if they can't get control of mid lane, and then utilize that to keep TSM away from the Baron.
Spooky Ghost does come out as well. Bjergsen taking a lot of poke from Nemesis. The hook does go wide. Dredgeline will not connect, nor will the prowling projectile. So Fnatic a little bit zoned off their own base, actually, in this case. The back comes in, but the TP flank now coming in as well. Rekkles immediately going to burn on the hunt, ready to turn this one. Dan going to try to buy a bit more time out of Bjergsen. Has the GA, but is forced to flash out to safety. Zoomies now come in. Bjergsen will be closer and closer to full health, but a lot of damage from Nemesis. Have to respect the magic damage crits coming in from the Corki.
Yeah, that was a great disengage, and now he's going in.
Fearless, the exhaust immediately comes in now. Lucian has been locked up on the side. Rekkles tries to get something done, but the ulti's already out, 90% slow. Bwipo is not in the area. Fnatic need to be careful about taking this fight. The final chapter comes in. Hylissang is down, but Akaadian is deleted as well. The 1-for-1 Bwipo going right into the midst of everything. Dan stepping forward, the knockup is there. The pop-off on back. Broken Blade, only connecting on Nemesis, but that might be all he needs. Rekkles has also been locked up. Buying times with the Zhonya's. Bjergsen needs to find the reset. They need to kill the Sivir. Rekkles gonna be taken down by Sven in an instant, but no, Bwipo, can he find the turn? Big damage comes in. It's Cat and Bjergsen versus the world now. Sven up 2, Bwipo needs to find it. It could be his heroic moment, but he's not gonna get the chance. They're gonna break open the base. TSM absolutely dominating the fight.
And will they look to try to end the game here? There is 8 seconds on Hylissang, so I'm not sure if they actually can. They're going to get an inhibitor for sure, but they are looking to end this one. Bwipo has got to clear out the wave as fast as he can.
Final chapter coming in. Bwipo quite tanky, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Hylissang there as well, locking up Bjergsen for now. The Ignite's ticking. Can he get back in? Not the Ignite, but a bit more damage.
Bjergsen's got to leave.
Have to be careful. Bjergsen now backing off. Locked up under tower. Is going to get shut down here.
Nemesis is about to spawn, so is Rekkles. They have teleports. They could actually look for this. You can see them. They're pinging onto the ward. They're going to try to punish TSM.
Prime projectile going to stop him for now. TP now coming in.
Double TP.
Rekkles coming in as well. Sven has to be careful. Corki flying forward. The Colin coming down, but Nemesis almost cold in an instant. So much damage out, fired back. Acadian knocked up. Hylissang caught the meat grinder. Broken blood, clutch stun. 2 kills immediately picked off. Fnatic fighting off more than he can do. Rekkles throwing down the lead forward. Rekkles is deleted. Acadian finding 2 and Nemesis running for his life. TSM have all the power in the world to end the game. It is only Dan, the so underfed Rek'Sai in this state, just running for his life, holding on to hope. But that might just be all she wrote. No more shots for Fnatic left.
Yeah, TSM can just go for the end here. They have the super minion. It's all up to Nemesis. He needs to try to kill someone off immediately, but I don't think he can do it.
Projectile, lost chapter. Pop Blossom gonna find 2 and pop. Fnatic taken out. It's gonna take a bit more time as the minions crash in, but the TSM win coming through in the end. 0-2 to kick things off, but up against Fnatic, they are finally able to find a win. Sven dancing on him, reminding him what Rift Rivals is all about. It's a little BM, it's a little banter, and it's a TSM victory.
Undefeated in the LEC, undefeated at Rift Rivals till this point. TSM takes down Fnatic, and they have got to be feeling good about that one. Acadian, 7, 2, and 15 on the Elise. Absolutely dominating Dan in the jungle on this one. Certainly a rough performance for him, but TSM fans, something to be very happy about at the end of this one.
Absolutely, and overall just a masterful performance. I gotta say, Acadian, I was skeptical. You know, we saw how good this team was with Grig. I was wondering why they made this decision, but he really did show up. The fumble at the start of the game, I was more worried. After that, the Elise was everywhere. Acadian was exactly where it needed to be, and Fnatic tried to stall, tried to get to that late game, but TSM did not let it happen.
Yeah, certainly didn't, and this is the kind of TSM that people had really been wanting to see. They've been wanting to see a team willing to play aggressive, willing to play up-tempo. They certainly have the capability of playing these types of strategies, of playing that type of game. And they were able to showcase it after what had been a very rough tournament for TSM. So certainly something to stand up and cheer about here for TSM fans, and I guess we got a new one.
As a North American, I never doubted them. I can't do it.
I can see the angry Fnatic fans already. They're grouping up.
Obviously a fantastic game. I think